Four races remain in the chase for the HTL Cup. Drivers only have four more chances to lock themselves in at a chance to win this year's championship. And everybody knows these big plate races are at anybody's game. Over 30 drivers will come in looking for the trophy, but only one can walk away with it. Who's going to walk away? We'll find out here in so many laps. It is AVN's live coverage of the HTL Cup Series live from Talladega Superspeedway. Good evening, everybody. Joe Cortez, Kevin Young in the booth with you. Chrissy Ryan pushing all the buttons in the back. And Kevin, I know you've had this one circled on your calendar for a while. You are excited about what's going to take place here tonight.
Well, there's a lot of reasons to be excited. Obviously, for starters, HTL does provide some great plate action. We've seen at Daytona, we've seen at Atlanta, we've seen it in previous years. They have some great expertise on the plate tracks and know how to provide some great racing that turns up the excitement to 11 just when it needs to crescendo, just like baking a fine-tuned cake. But secondly as well, we're running low on time here before the regular season starts. Points matter. Drivers are trying to make that last scramble to be one of the 16 drivers to get in. And as we're about to start qualifying here, as some of the drivers get on track, we have drivers on the cut line coming in tonight. Zachary Meredith and Matthew Boone both tied on that bubble, and only one will get the advantage. And there's still over 5 weeks, but it easily, one good run here for a driver like Sharp, Dodson, Pendell, Trout, Hall, finding the way to victory lane, could punch their magical ticket like Charlie finding the golden ticket to the chocolate factory and make one more driver out in the cold. So this is just fun, exciting times, and it's definitely a lot, besides myself, a lot of other drivers have circled on their metaphorical calendars.
Two more plate tracks before we go to the chase. Talladega and Daytona still yet to come in the month of August. We'll see exactly what happens because, as we've said before, these tracks are very much anybody's game. Everybody has an equal chance to win here. It's all about perseverance and making smart moves when the time comes. Let's go ahead and jump straight into qualifying, where Martin Roberg will be the first one to take time here on the track in the 35. I believe that's an uncharted machine.
I believe it is. You are correct. Roberg's obviously been a driver that's been kind of bouncing around, but looks like he's finally found a ride. Bit of an uncharted ride for his efforts as he is on the track. Other car also is James Wright, who just did his lap as well. Plate tracks give you 2 laps, if I'm not mistaken, so it's going to be 2. It's still 1. It is only still 1. But how they roll out, kind of hearing for the information here, I thought it was a 2-track system because they do special things to the plate tracks, but that's the fast pairs now, remember. It is only just 1 lap. The driver's going to get quickly, blitz out, and make runs. Already see Roberg setting down a time. Carter, Wright, all put down times. It's going to go quick here, so you got to make sure you stay on the throttle and make sure you lunge quickly as Roberg comes across the line again there. Put down a second lap a little bit faster than the first one, but will actually count, so put Roberg still in P1.
53.277 right now, the time to beat, as we have more drivers lining up ready to take on the track. Next one, I think, will be the 43 of Caleb Carter. Caleb Carter, I believe, is one of the super subs we've seen over time and time again, riding the 43 tonight. Not sure what team he's with. I believe this is also a super sub.
Yeah, it's weird because it says 43 on the timing scoring board, but 55 on the paint scheme. So it's all twisty-turvy here. But regardless, Caleb Carter will now go fastest on the board. So the confused number scheme goes P1, top of the charts for Caleb Carter, purple all around. So Carter, Roberg, Wright, your top 3. As we see now, Bobby Blowers, the next 3 groups to head out onto the track now. And Blowers, big, monstrous lap there. Going for P4. That next lap now he is starting is going to be the flyer lap here to make a run here and go aggressive. Blowers, very fast at the plate tracks, very strong, and knows how to just get going. We've seen him win Atlanta last year, so definitely something to keep an eye at these plate tracks. Still winless for the Super Sub.
Last week, Bobby Blowers was racing with Ascent. Tonight, he's putting back the Orlando Outlaws colors on the car with the 34 machine. So good to see Blowers back in business. You will see what he can do. We'll see how he's able to run here on his flying lap at Talladega. These flying laps matter because the closer you are up front, the further away you are from the calamity that can happen mid-pack. Through the Geico restart zone, he goes around the tri-oval, and by Blowers will turn in a time of 53.238. That moves him up to the top of the pool.
Yeah, not shocking from Bobby Blowers. I think that could be a time that a lot of drivers will struggle to beat. that 34 right now provisional pole. Next cars slotting out on the circuit, including the 55 of Caleb Eichler's, the actual real 55 in the Canes machine, will be the first one to start their flying lap. I'll join in flank by DeMonte Dodson, and we'll see the third car coming out in a second as well. Both track cars hitting the track as we speak. Now the question is, how fast can they get those machines up to par for their one flying lap?
Caleb Eichler in that 55 machine has had a quiet season all the way around. Not a bad season, but a quiet one for the Stepping Stone Motorsports driver. I believe that is, again, an uncharted car for Stepping Stone, so this will be an extra entry for that team. Usually 3 cars involved. Now Eichler in the Grayson Canes machine will be number 4 for the team.
Other car coming out the track as well is Josh Gaiman, driver currently in the top 16 in the playoff points. Let's keep that good form going if he wants to make sure he makes it there. Eichler now officially starting a flying lap, and this is where you'll see some drivers will run the high wall to come up on their warm lap and then instantly drift low on their one money lap to put down a time. Obviously, short way is the fastest way, but it all comes down to that warm-up lap if you really want to try to find that little extra speed to try to make that car competitive. Down the backstretch, the Raging Caged Canes machine will go, looking fast as always in that hot red machine, as they still pinch the low line. And you can see a little twitch, though. That's what you want to do. You want to really pinch that line and keep it as straight and as narrow as possible to get the run off. And as they come off of 4 here, 1 tri-oval to go. It's looking good at the moment. Don't think it's going to be good enough for pole, but it's going to be at least good enough to put them inside the top 5. As they come across the line here, where will the 55 slot their machine? It'll be a 53.343, good enough for a P4, about a 10th away from Bobby Blauer's time.
So Bobby Blauer still at the top of the pole as DeMonte Dodson, the rookie for Valfreya Motorsports, comes onto the track to take his one and only flying lap, the American Airlines 31 machine. For a rookie, he's putting together a good season. He's put together some good top 5s, top 10s. He's definitely a contender for that team. The 33 of Joshua Gaiman, who almost was in the contention to win last week at Michigan, is now taking his laps on the field. Other drivers in track right now waiting is David Smeal, who's still in the 8 for Callie Height, the 18 of Chad Swatsworth, and the 19 of Byron Jones.
Yeah, those 3 cars should be the next 3 that file out right now. Elias Flores already on the track here, hitting the apex here. Now, worth noting as well, obviously the timing and scoring board light up there just a second before the lap concludes. Just in case you are a curious person at home why that is happening, it is because of a slight blend violation when they do the pass out lane, causing the lap to count. So obviously, it's the second lap. When they cross the line now, that is the flying lap. But just in case you see it flash on the screen, that first time is not indicative of what they need around here. So anyway, Flores now going to come up here and not really running that high wall like we've seen throughout other drivers here. Really pinching that wall like Gaiman did to put himself up to P3. So we'll see if that comes back to bite him as he comes through the tri-oval now to start his flying lap.
Elias Flores, absent last week at Michigan, will try to make up some time here at Daytona. I want to say Daytona. It's Talladega Superspeedway. We'll see what he can do in that number 99 Ascent Racing machine. Ascent Racing, another team that has not had the best of luck all season long. They've been good, they've been consistent, but they're just missing out on those top 5s and top 10s that they've been searching for all night long. But anything can happen at a super speedway, and Talladega is the place. If you want to try your luck, Talladega is the place to do it.
Yeah, it's a track where it can make dreams and make magic. Obviously, you think that the Daytona 500. This track can also punch tickets. Look at David Reagan back in 2013. He won that race for Front Row Motorsports, and then in turn basically prolonged another 10 years into the sport out of one victory there. Flores coming through the tri-oval right now, going to come across the line. Where can he slot that number 99 for Ascent? It is going to be good enough to stay where he is. P6 he'll jump to. And now here's David Smeal coming across the line next. It'll be Smeal, then Swatsworth in succession. Dunkin' Donuts machine of David Smeal will come across the line, jumps to P7, few tenths behind Elias Flores. And here's Chad Swatsworth, the leader, you could say, of Arrowhead Racing. Gonna come across the line now in the number 18. See if that's good enough for pole. 53.298. And that's going to be good enough for P6. So all 3 drivers within a cavalcade of each other between 6, 7, and 8. Here at Swansworth a bit earlier, he thinks this is a track he also has circled, thinking this is his best chance to find victory lane this season. So we'll see if that prophecy comes true as Byron Jones hits the track.
The 19 of Byron Jones will come on track, be the next one to try to take his qualifying time. Dustin Hall and Tommy Reynolds will also come out in the next few minutes to take their qualifying times as well. The 19 of Jones, another driver that has been quiet all season long, but not necessarily in a bad way for NFG Motorsports. He's been a super sub for that team. That DJ Anderson and Bobby Blowers both driving that 19 car this season. So we'll see if he can turn his luck around a little bit and make some noise, maybe even pick up the win for the NFG team here at Talladega.
Yeah, it's the time and place to do it. This is the time and place to do it, as he is now going to come across the line through the tri-oval. He's had a couple good runs this season and is definitely looking to try to be and join that elusive winners club. That 19 car also came oh so close to victory lane a couple weeks ago at Pocono, where it was one lap away from finding victory lane. Other two cars on the track are Dustin Hall and Tommy Reynolds. Tommy Reynolds found success at the plate tracks this year, obviously winning the big one, the Daytona 500. We'll see how either driver slots in. But it's Byron Jones going very low, not drifting high here. So most drivers electing to pinch this yellow line all the way through the lap. Usually is indicative towards success. We'll see if that succeeds for that number 19 as they now enter 3 and 4.
Entering 3 and 4 for the final time for the flying lap. We'll see what the 19 can do and where he can end up on the track. The 19 at that yellow line, trying to take the shortest way around the field, goes into the tri-oval through the three-start zone and now to the start-finish line. His time will officially be 53.283, so move the 19 up to position number 6.
Yeah, good run there. Here's Dustin Hall, another driver that's been just cramping to try to find a way to victory lane here in that number 12. It's knocked in the door, coming across the line, he will. Good enough for P3, put him up there in the top 2 rows right now. Good run from the number 12 driver. Last up, Tommy Reynolds rocking a new number, now in the number 11, and a very Coca-Cola bright red. That's where you could say the real magic happens if I read the scheme right. As he comes across the line, it's going to be good enough for P7 for the number 11. But hey, that's middle of the pack, but it's not where you start. It's where you finish, and that's at least a decent qualifying run for the driver of the 11. Next 3 cars coming out right now, the 94 of Mark Parkhurst will be one of the 3 hitting the track here, running a Mountain Dew Baja Blast scheme. So the soda schemes seem to be really infestating the HTL here tonight. The other 2 cars looks like it's going to be Constantine the 57. Wait on the 3rd one as they now slot out. But right now, the car currently on the track right now, the number 94, about to start a flying lap when they come across the line.
The number 94, another driver that's been a late entry into this series. Not the 94, I should say, but the driver of the 94. Last week it was Chris Pendell. This week, Mark Parkhurst will take the wheel for the Premier Racing Club machine. In the Mountain Dew scheme, very, very fun to see all the soda machines come out here on the track. It'll make for some entertaining driving, just seeing all these different paint schemes. And when it comes to paints, HTL never misses.
100% indeed. Obviously, NASCAR had the Cold Wars back in the 2000s. Well, now HTL has the Cold Wars, maybe even the energy drink wars. Have seen countless schemes docked out in those colors. In the cockpit camera right now of Mark Parkhurst here again, pinning the line, keeping the car pinned low. Make sure you get the best run you can. You can keep an eye on that wheel placement. Make sure he doesn't slip it all too much. You want to see that little orange thing just a tip above right where the score box is, where his name is. You can see him turning it in just a tiny bit. And at that point, you can see he's trying to make sure he keeps it as stable as possible. You don't want to keep rotating. You don't want to keep flip-flopping. That shaves off valuable speed. That can make the difference between coming into a pole run, maybe going into a last place run. Cutting up through the tri-oval right now, where can probably Mark Parkhurst, I should say, put this number 94 machine across the line on the 1 flying lap. It's going to be good enough for P11, just outside the top 10 in the dead heat with David Smeal, as Constantine having some heavy blinking issues with the next car to cross the line, followed by the 27 of Selena Thompson.
Constantino, one of the 2 international drivers on the field every single week. The 57 will turn in her time, 53.364, so that puts her in position number 14. Selena Thompson in a special paint scheme. It looks like she's celebrating the state of Alabama. on her hood. I'll take a closer look at that, but very different from the American Airlines Menards scheme that she normally runs.
Yeah, Huntsville obviously a place in Alabama. Huntsville Havoc seemed to be a... She's an Alabama native, but trying to figure out what exactly Huntsville has. They look like they do hockey. They're a hockey team in Alabama. Looks like they are in the SPHL. Looks like a lower division hockey league in the state of Alabama. So obviously repping the low team, and also on the other side, I know that reference. It's Trash Pandas, also in Alabama. So a lot of minor league sport teams decking out her hood here. But now, Zachary Apperson on the track as well, and he's in a bit of a different color as well. You usually see that number 4 in a Ghost Energy Machine paint scheme with the Sour Patch Kids, but now in the Coley Hochman Productions machine here, as he is running the wall here. Using what Matthew Boone runs as well as number 28, so obviously hoping this scheme provides him a little bit of luck. Other 2 cars on the track as well is the chairwoman Carmen Sienna, the number 96 filling in this race, and the 22 of Gary Donaldson. But now, Zachary Apperson going to come through the trial hole and start his flying lap.
Zachary Apperson, normally, you're right, normally in that Ghost Energy car, will take a little bit of a different turn in that blue and white machine representing the production company on his hood. His actually best finish has been here at this raceway. His best finish ever in Cup Series came back in season number 2 when he took second here at Talladega. So Zachary Apperson, no stranger to plate racing, the plate racing that you love so much, Kevin. I think he definitely could have, if depending on where he qualifies, he could have a shot at taking tonight's race and improving on his best finish from second to first.
I mean, hey, every dog has his day when it comes to a plate track here, and it takes the very skilled, as I think me and Kristina will both agree on this, it takes the very skilled to be able to really dominate here. Sometimes it takes a driver that maybe just having a bad season can use this as a turnaround point to get their season on the right track. As Apperson comes across the line right now, car already locked in the owner's playoffs. He will slot in P15 in his number 4, trying to lock himself into the drivers' playoffs. Carmen Sienna up next here in the number 96, back in the car after a little bit of sabbatical. Obviously hoping to have some fun here and cause maybe a little bit of chaos and find a way in a victory lane or maybe help a teammate. Coming across the line, she will slot her machine in P18, so slowest out of the 19 runners so far, but obviously Donaldson's time has not been concluded yet, so if Donaldson can't improve, Sienna would be technically the slowest. So as Donaldson comes across the line, the number 22, 53.429, and that will actually be officially the slowest. So bit of a poor run for both Apperson, Sienna, and Donaldson. Makes you wonder if maybe the track conditions are changing here for the worse. This could be a bit of a concern as we see the weather right now. Could be a concern for some of these drivers as they wait on pit lane.
International Weather Service, 83 degrees Fahrenheit here in Talladega. Wind coming from the northeast at 8 miles per hour. No humidity to speak of. So the track conditions are actually pretty prime. The track is warm. It should give just enough grip to make it fun, but tires really don't matter on the super speedways. You don't need that extra grip. All you need is a good accelerator foot and a little bit of know-how to get around all the incidents. The 25 for Alfred Denny now coming out for his qualifying lap. Others on the track include the 78 of Richard Odie and the 50 of Lilac Zier. Alfred Denny in the 29 machine, no stranger to racing in these tough conditions. He is a competitor through and through that we've seen all season long for Valfreya Motorsports, although he might be a little bit out of his element. The best finish he's ever had came not at a super speedway track, but in Richmond back in season 3.
Yeah, he's got one of those longest winless drivers in this series. Obviously, the longest winless streak, that belongs to Blake Henderson. But as you can see right there, the winless drivers tab, he is at 86 races, standing alone with Gary Donaldson, 1 race behind him in 85, and then Zachary Apperson at 61, rounding out the top 3. So Denny, driver that's been a loyalist to HTL, been here since the very beginning, just trying to chip away to find a way in the victory lane. And again, every dog has his day. Maybe today will be the day for the GM Good Wrench machine. Coming through 3 and 4 right now. Keeping an eye on the track temperature as well. Right now, you were talking about it a bit earlier, Joe. It's right now at 103 degrees Fahrenheit. Obviously, not on our little magic box of description, but still, very warm track. We'll see if that plays any effect as these drivers go on. Denny, going to come to the trial right now. We'll see where he can slot that number 29 across the line. It's going to be a 53.347, good enough for 15th for the driver of the 29.
Other drivers coming across the line now include the 78 of Richard Odie, the privateer in his own team, trying to have a good year in his rookie run. Will come across the line this time it'll turn into a time of 53.407. So Richard Odie, not a great qualifying time, is back in position number 20. Lilac Zier, the 50 machine for Stepping Stone Motorsports, about to cross the line as well. Through the tri-oval she will go. At the start-finish line, it's 53.369. So the 50 Lilac Zier also struggling a little bit. She'll be in position number 18.
Yeah, odd qualifying run for all three drivers. Usually some of them have a little bit stronger runs. But again, not where you start, it's where you finish. And obviously, I think I'll be saying that at least a couple more times for this qualifying ends. Hopefully, I do not, though. Jonathan Spiel up next, filling in for the number 44 machine. Obviously, one of the few drivers doing a double duty. Obviously, last night was running in the A² Cup Series. Now running here again. Actually, he's not running the A² Cup Series. My mistake. Now just running here tonight. So obviously, the 44 filling in here. And we'll see what he can do here. It looks like he'll be flanked by the number 9 of not Eli Sasek, it's Josh Soltz. And the 20 of Hunter Peach will be the third car. The driver that has the distinction of winning the last plate race at Atlanta. So those three drivers will be the next three on the racing surface. And as that 44 has had a lot of different tendons throughout this season, one thing is worth noting, every driver that's gotten in that machine has been quite fast and has piloted that machine well. So we'll see if Jonathan Spiel can keep that trend going here as he comes to the tri-oval to start his flying lap.
One of the storylines we've been following is the chaos at Arrowhead Racing. Lots of drivers coming in, lots of drivers coming out. As we mentioned, Carmen Sienna coming back to the 96 machine after taking a hiatus from that. The 44 was originally driven by John Hagan, who is currently sitting out the rest of the season after suffering another, after I should say the team suffered another driver who had a suspension on their record. Jonathan Spiel will come in and pilot the 44 tonight. So even more issues for the team, but we know one thing. When they do enter a car, Arrowhead Racing tends to be fast, especially on super speedways. Through turns 3 and 4, Spiel will turn the number 44 machine through the front tri-oval and onto the yellow line. His time officially at the start-finish line will be 53.373. So not a great qualifying time despite the speed for Arrowhead Racing.
Yeah, he's reading that car right now like he reads the defenses against Kennesaw State. Good little inside reference to college football 25. Anyway, Josh L. Soltz coming across the line now, filling in obviously for Eli Sasek, and it's going to be a 53.529. That's going to put him outside the top 20. And Hunter Peach, obviously that car brought him some luck at the last plate race, running it back here. We'll see what the Peach car can do for the Peach man as he comes across the line. 59.943. Obviously looks like second lap actually didn't even count possibly. So not a good run for this Peach. It looks like it blinked too. So overall, a weird situation for that 20 as he's now currently in P25. And again, another kind of poor run for these drivers in succession. Again, we'll have to see if that is a trend or if it's just maybe just a bad run here throughout the line. Next up, Zachary Meredith will be one of the three cars still running the Red Bull-inspired paint scheme here. We'll see again, maybe possibly that scheme does change. But right now, it is Meredith in the Red Bull machine. The one, Kevin Gibney, with the next car coming out on the track. I think the next one flanking him will be the 25 of Blake Henderson. So Meredith, Gibney, Henderson, three hungry drivers, will be starting their qualifying runs here in just a second.
The 17 of Meredith will be the first of the coast-to-coast racing drivers to take their qualifying lap. Kevin Gibney, no stranger to Valfreya Motorsports. We see him back in that number 1 machine for the team tonight. And of course, the dead man, Blake Henderson, driving for Tombstone Motorsports in that WWE 24 machine. Definitely no stranger to the scene, no stranger to our cameras. We'll have to see exactly where all those three drivers end up when they take their one flying lap. Zachary Meredith is across the start-finish line. He's taking his qualifying lap now.
Yeah, Meredith, defending champion of this series, knows when the pressure's on the brightest, can find his way to success. So we'll see what he can do on his qualifying run. Right now, like I was saying a little bit earlier, dead heat right now with Matthew Boone, both on 224 points, so 224 points. Could have had a little bit of a mini brain there for a second, but you can see right now tied on the bubble with Mongold 5 back, Hall 12 back, and Trout 19 back. So you got to make sure he gets some good stage points and also puts himself up towards the front so he can get those good points there. Obviously, you can see right there the playoff cut line that I was talking about. Braille, obviously 18 ahead, but right now not here tonight. Will bleed points, and Blowers, currently our pole sitter, looking to try to extend that gap. But as Meredith comes across the line right now to set his time in stone, it's going to be a 53.416, and it's going to be only good enough for 24th. So that is going to put him in about right around the range where we saw the 9, the 78, and Gibney as well. Well, Gibney the second here come across the line. See if Gibney's time holds in that range. It'll be a 53.411, P at 24 for Gibney, and as now Blake Henderson coming out, was the pole sitter a couple weeks ago at Charlotte. We'll see if he can replicate that right now. Coming across the line, it's going to be a 53.329, good enough for P12, so he will at least gain by at least 10 spots over both Meredith and Gibney both put down.
Top 5 still go unchallenged. Ryan Blowers, DeMonte Dotson, Dustin Hall, Joshua Gaiman, and Caleb Carter continue to run at the top of the field. Matthew Boone, the 28, will be the next one to come out for his warm-up lap in that machine. Matthew Boone, a driver for Tombstone Motorsports, will be the second one from the team to try, or I'm sorry, third one from the team, as we already saw the 22 of Gary Donaldson already come out and take his flying lap as well. The 2 of Josh Arnold, normally running the Pizza and Wings podcast on his hood, is now running a scheme for the University of Auburn, War Eagle, if you're a fan of the team. And of course, the 00 of Pacey Wygen, always a competitor when there's business to be had in the Coast to Coast racing machine, will be on the track as well. So 3 drivers who are consistently in the conversation now warming up and taking their qualifying times.
The funny thing is, obviously using real NASCAR as reference point, the Alabama car is obviously piloted by Waltrip and Aaron's and all that. Didn't find as much success as the Auburn car did, which was piloted by McMurray that won that fall race in 2014. Jamie Mack's last win in NASCAR's Premier Cup Series. So obviously Auburn dominating Talladega, you could say, in real life. We'll see if they can do it in the virtual life as well. Right now, though, Matthew Boone, right now, again, pinching that low line. You can see him really hugging it right now as he'll enter off through 3 and 4 here. You just see right now, he's got a nice little zoom by shot, how truly fast they are going as they pinch this low line here. Boone still looking good right now, checking his time, checking his trends. Sector 1 time, at least trending in the right direction, but looks like it may be just a tad slow. Have to really kick it up on his second sector here as he comes to the tri-oval and comes across the line. Where will that 28 put his machine? 53.338, and that will be good enough for P15, so a few stones away where Blake Henderson put his time. Here comes Josh Arnold, 30th car to put down a time as he now comes across the line as number 2. It's going to be a 53.309, good enough for 11, so these times seem to be picking up. And as Pacey Wygen in the number 00, looking to find success on the super speedways, which have eluded him so far in his career in HTL. As he comes across the line here, 53.299, and that's going to be good enough for P10, so he will be the first driver in a little bit to find his way in the top 10, as we see Mongold, the Dr. Pepperman, escape the pit lane to start his lap.
Speaking of the soda schemes, he finally got that deal through with Dr. Pepper, and he will run the 23 different flavors on his hood. So Dr. Pepper, now the official sponsor of the Dr. Pepper driver for driving for Ascent Racing, and you couldn't ask for a happier ending. Every race, even in the middle of the race, he'll get in the radio, call for his crew to get that lovely ice cold Dr. Pepper in the car. He's consumed, according to our stats, 53 of them all weekend long. I can't imagine what his kidneys look like, but I'm sure he's a happy guy nonetheless. Also on track is the 71 of Willie Peltier Sharp and the 81 of Josh Susie, once again in that pink Hello Kitty scheme.
What you can say is what Ricky Bobby says, he pisses excellence, and that excellence is Dr. Pepper. So as he comes now through the trial right now, hopefully that Dr. Pepper propels him to a good spot. Like you're saying, Sosi and the 3 will be the other 2 cars out on the track right now. Both teammates, both been dominating the past weeks here in Lady Liberty. It's been basically the the Height Sosi show. So they will be both starting their final laps in just a second here. But Mongold, again, usually see an Ascent inspired scheme, but finally docking out the Dr. Pepper scheme as he is now on the backstretch here, currently trending in the right direction, has some experience at the plate tracks, could be a sneaky favorite to find his way in the victory lane.
Trying to think of all the slogans that Dr. Pepper's had over the years. My favorite had to be, wouldn't you want to be a pepper too?
Oh.
And I think Dawson Mongold, he lives that slogan, man.
He does. He's also, you could argue, the king of the beverages and also always one of a kind. So he comes through the trial right now.
Played.
Yeah, well played indeed. So anyway, as Mongol comes across the line, 53.340. Good enough, at least, well, be inside at least the top 30 here. Pelletier Sharp up next. Going to come through the trial right now. Where can Sharp put her machine? As she comes across the line, needs a good run here. It's going to be 53.348, 21st, just missing out on a top 20 qualifying spot. And as Josh Sosi comes across the line next, decked out Hello Kitty scheme, got it back from Japan. And it's going to be a 53.313, good enough for 13th. That leaves one more car, the 3 of Caitlin Height. Can she bump Bobby Blowers off their perch? Coming across in the NordVPN scheme. It's going to be a 53.332, good enough for 16th. I believe that's all the cars in qualifying, and it looks like Bobby Blowers' time is going to hold.
Bobby Blowers right now unofficially your pole sitter. 3 drivers electing to sit out on the field tonight. DJ Trout, Dean Clavette, and Tommy Withers all not taking time on the field. Maybe a strategic move on their part as they try to avoid the melee and avoid the chaos. But right now, Bobby Blowers, if we don't have any more qualifiers, will be your pole sitter in the 213 Sittenware Block Designs machine.
Yeah, he's found a lot of poles so far this season. He's yet to convert them to wins. So that will officially end the session. So Blowers, Dotson, Hall, your top 3. Add another for Bobby Blowers. And you can see his little social on the back there. Maybe go give him a follow if you want to see more pole runs out of him. But checkered flag is out. Blowers, Dotson, Hall, your top 3, as we're going to get ready for the warm-up.
Could be a short warm-up session here. And this is going to be important for these drivers, not because of speed, but because they need to find where their pit boxes are. When you're going from over 200 miles per hour down to 70 miles per hour on pit road, it's important for you to know not only how much time you need to slow up that car, but more importantly, where your pit box is so you don't make a mistake, so you don't overshoot it. Time is money, especially on pit road. And with these guys maybe being forced to take a couple of green flag pit stops tonight, that is going to be some critical time these drivers will need to get up and get moving. This race could very easily be won lost on pit road.
Yeah, 100% indeed. Speeding could take you out of contention, slow pit stop, missing your box, not coming out with any help. All these things could take you from a chance to win this race for being out of contention. So you got to make sure to be careful entering your pit lane. That is going to be the ultimate kryptonite for some of these drivers if they cannot make it. We obviously saw in the 500 and maybe at the Atlanta race, because the Atlanta race obviously had a pit lane, you slowed down in a slightly different spot. But with Daytona, we saw a couple drivers get speeding penalties, and it took their chances and basically put them in the shredder. A little over time to go here. Obviously, some drivers using this last time to get some extra little practice to understand drafting, or at the very least, understand what the teammates and get in sync here. But I'm going to ask you a question, Joe, because I see Blake brings up a good question in the chat. Where did Dr. Pepper get his doctorate from? Like, how did he become a doctor in some sorts when his main association was making delicious Fizz Fuzzy drinks?
I mean, the guy could be a chemist. The first soft drink that we all know and love, Coca-Cola, was created by I can't think of the word right now. It's going to bug me. No, not a chemist, a pharmacist. The first drink that we all love, Coca-Cola, was created by a pharmacist, John Pemberton, in Atlanta, Georgia. The first combination of it had a little bit of cocaine in it, and it was supposed to be used to cure toothaches, believe it or not.
Wow, I mean, considering the fact that you probably have a lot of kids going to the dentist with
because of Coca-Cola.
Because of Coca-Cola, it's quite an interesting treat and a good time as well to see the Coca-Cola car on the screen. But right now, Caitlin Height, currently second in points, won last week. She's making her claim here to try to get back-to-back regular season titles, which no driver has officially done in the 4 seasons of HTL competition. So trying to do a feat that no one else has done. There's the 99 Elias Flores, the 00 Pacey Wygen sitting on pit lane, just maybe taking a breather here, knowing you're going to be white-knuckling for about well over 100 laps when we do get the green flag. So better take this calm from the storm right now to get your heart rate set and get ready for some white-knuckle action in about 2 minutes' time.
3 drivers will be starting from the end of the line. That includes the 99 of Elias Flores, the 90 of Dean Clavette, and the 8 of David Smeal Jr., all getting penalized for their actions last week. One driver will start from pit road. That's the 93 of DJ Trout, who was involved in a big incident last week that will force him to start from pit road. So you'll already have a handicap at least one lap down, maybe even a couple, considering how fast these cars work around here in the draft.
But with the likelihood of at least having a couple cautions, the chances to get back on the lap is high. But at the same time, HTL has been prone to run, at least to the end of stages, without one caution flying. So, bit of a detriment, could be a bit of a situation, but overall, though, it's a risk some of these drivers are willing to take to keep their cars clean. At the same point, they do have one fast spare, but you don't want to burn it on lap number 1. Take a look at the winless drivers. Obviously went over Denny, Donaldson, Ackerson. But as you go down further the list, you can see obviously Pelletier Sharp there with a 51 waste route. Eli Sasek at 47, but he is not here tonight, so that basically can call 48. And Selena Thompson with a high win run in 41 races without a win. Hopefully that Alabama scheme can maybe provide a little bit of luck there. Obviously you see Sharp running a similar paint scheme she ran to pretty much this whole season. Got her basically a front row starting spot at Daytona, so maybe there's a luck is in the cards in the number 71.
As we mentioned, this will be the one of 4 races left before we get to the chase for the HTL Cup. The next 3 races, all in August, are the Rockingham 350 at Rockingham International Speedway, the Daytona 200, which will be on the Daytona International Speedway road course, and the last one before we get into the chase, a Firecracker 400 at Daytona International Speedway, August 19th, before we get to the All-Star race on the 26th. You can catch all the action right here on ABN Esports.
Yeah, and it's going to be a big crunch because if you're a driver like DJ Trout, for instance, Pelletier Sharp, great at road courses. You may have Daytona RC circled. Matthew Boone, Alfred Denny, maybe better at short tracks. They got Rockingham sorted. Other drivers like Odie, maybe other drivers like Smeal, for instance, Roberg, they got Daytona circled. But that is going to include it for warm-up here. Next time we tune in, it is going to be the main race. So check flag is out. Swatsworth tops the time in warm-up, but Blowers will be the one on pole.
So the cars start to line up right here on pit road. They'll inherit a very lukewarm track comparatively. 86 degrees Fahrenheit according to the National Weather Service. Wind coming from the east at 11 miles per hour with a partly cloudy skies. It will mean that this track will be not grippy, but not slippy. It'll be but depending on how much rubber gets put down the race and how hard these guys race, it will definitely create some chaos and could definitely create a lot of good racing between all of these drivers. Drivers lining up, getting ready to go. Let's go ahead and take you down our starting lineup.
So as we see the starting lineup here, Bobby Blowers and the Mate Dodson, the rookie, will take up row number 1. Moving on to row 2, Justin Hall and Josh Gaiman. The row 2 drivers looking for some good performances here. Row 3, Caleb Carter, Martin Roberg. Roberg obviously came close to winning last week. Caleb Carter looking for some good run here. Going to be in row number 3. Row 4 are Daytona 500 Tommy Reynolds and Byron Jones will be in row 4. And row 5 will be Shad Swatsworth and Casey Wygen. Wygen, one of the few drivers in this family this year. Joe, why don't you take us through the rest of the field?
Elias Flores and Josh Arnold will sit in row number 6. Behind them will be the 81 of Joshua Susi and the 94 of Mark Parkhurst. Finishing in the top 15, rounding up the top 15 is the dead man Blake Henderson in the 25. Caitlin Height, last week's winner, will start position number 16. David Smeal Jr. in the qualified 17th, but will start at the back of the field, moving up to Selena Thompson from 18th to 17th. Matthew Boone and Caleb Eichler will make up row number 10. Row 11 belongs to the 91 of Austin Mongold and then 20 and 29 of Alfred Denny. Moving back through the rest of the field, Louis Pelletier Sharp and Zachary Apperson make up row number 12. Row number 13 belongs to 57 of Bianca Constantino and the 50 of Lilac Zier, teammates in row 13. Row 14 belongs to Jonathan Smeal and James Wright, the 44 and 05 respectively. 29 and 30th in row 15, Carmen, Sienna, and Josh Stoltz. Carmen Sienna coming back to the car, Josh Stoltz filling in for Eli Sasek. Other drivers taking the call tonight will be Richard Odie, Kevin Gibney Jr. in 31st, 32nd, Zachary Meredith, Gary Donaldson, 33rd, 34th, Hunter Peach, Dean Clavette, DJ Trout, and Tommy Withers round out your field of 38 tonight.
So we see the finish up. Obviously, pit lane, a very crowded place right now. 31 cars out on the track, while the remaining 7, whether it be drive-through, whether it be just one to start there, all occupying the pit boxes right now. But at least the bright side, with so many cars starting back there, the likelihood of going a lap down isn't as high as you would think, as 7 cars in one train should at the very least be able to keep enough of a speed advantage to presumably, at the very least, keep themselves their head above water until maybe stage 30 when the first stage concludes here. But if we get one more lap around here before we see the green flag here, Joe, let me hear your predictions here. Who do you think is going to find their way to victory lane here tonight? What are your top 3 favorites here?
Well, we know Arrowhead Racing is always fast when it comes to through the super speedways here. So Tommy Reynolds, who won at Daytona to open the season, is always a threat to show up here. Carmen Sienna knows how to get to the front and knows how to work her way through. When we talked to her before the race, she said she was going to mess stuff up. Not her exact words, but I'm gonna be polite on what she exactly said out there. So Arrowhead Racing, my team to watch right now. I think they're gonna have a great night tonight.
You know, kissing up to the boss doesn't always lead to great success here, but hey, it definitely opens up a few more doors. For myself, though, I'm going to look at a few drivers here. I'm going to say you can't bet against Bobby Blowers, who's found success in the HTL Cup Series at plate tracks, and in turn has been a driver hungry for a win. That's why I've been called so many times to fill in as a sub role. Definitely one of my predictions. I think the second one, I can't get against Pacey Wygant. He's hungry as well to get a win and finally break that dreaded curse he's had at super speedways, being attention early, but never really truly being there when the race ends. And you know what? I'm going to go for a third throw here. Let's throw a spotlight on Blake Henderson here. Currently sitting in the sixth row here in P12. Definitely another driver has that long winless drought. Is basically been saying he's going to win one of these races or basically give up trying to try to find a way in victory lane. And right now, he is sitting my third pick to win. Looking at the stages, well, it's going to be at lap 30 and lap 60 for the first stage break and the second stage break. 6 sets of tires available, and with the fuel range being 19 to 22 laps, it pretty much guesses that you're going to have to at least make a stop in the first stage and presumably the second stage and the final stage if you want to make it to the end here. So definitely not going to be easy to save fuel around here and make it to the end of stage number 1.
I'm glad you're joining us for ABN's live coverage of the HTL Cup Series at Talladega Superspeedway. Joe Cortez, Kevin Young on the call. Kristina Ryan pushing all the buttons in back, pushing our buttons more likely as we get ready to go green flag racing. By Blowers will lead them to the flag as we get ready to go green flag racing through the long trial. We go into the Geico restart zone. Green flag flies. We are racing at Talladega Superspeedway.
And as they come to the trial here about the lap number 1, Bobby Blowers will take the lap and lead it with Hall and Reynolds in tow, as they will be the top 3 here. We heard rumors and rumblings that drivers may take it a bit cautious here in stage number 1. We kind of see it already. If we get a good wide shot here, you can see the first pack there about maybe 15 cars deep, and then you can see a second gaggle there as well, all single file training. So those drivers not wanting to be aggressive here, not wanting to wreck their cars early here in the first couple laps, knowing that sometimes drivers may be more aggressive as the season comes on. Right now up front, Roberg wants to try to take that lead. along with the Reynolds. So they are on that high side here to ride on board with the target machine of Tommy Reynolds as he's going to try to drive on by on that high side.
Reynolds has a run on the high side. Will he go down low to block off the 35? I think he's trying to block off the 19 from making additional moves. So right now on lap number 2, scoring lap number 3, Tommy Reynolds will be scored your leader up front in front of this field. Byron Jones, Pacey Wygent joining him on the high side. The high side seems to be the fast lane right now, and nobody wants to go down the low side. Nobody wants a challenge and have their spot be taken away by one of those high side drivers.
Look at Byron Jones right there, not going with Tommy Reynolds there. Reynolds going to be pinched in the middle section here. Now he's in a bit of the sucker hole here as he's going to have no help high or low. So he's gone from a have to a have-not. He's going to have to try to find a way in. Luckily, Odie will give him basically a life raft and tell you, hey, you can slot on in here. I'll give you a nice little respectable zone. But right now, Byron Jones, he wants to lap with Pacey Wygent, former maybe teammates here at the very least, going to work together right now on lap 3 in the books. Jones will lead it. As you see here, still with Reynolds, he's going to try to think of his next move, try to get that target machine back towards the front.
A lot of jump drafting so far. 3 laps, 3 different leaders, 3 lead changes as Byron Jones will fend off the 00 Pacey Wygent. Former teammates, now a bit of adversaries on track. Byron Jones doing everything he can to block off the 00, prevent him from moving forward or forming that second line that they used to dispatch Tommy Reynolds in the 11. Byron Jones, no challenges so far. He could lead a second lap if Pacey Wygent, Josh Arnold, and Zachary Meredith allow him to do so. The 002, 17 each peaking, but not going to happen on the front tri-oval. Byron Jones will get a second lap up front.
Yeah, we'll lead a second lap, so not first lap. We don't see a lead change there as Jones will be the first one to lead 2 laps. You're running on board there with Gary Donaldson a little bit ago, and I think he was bringing up a good point in the sense that he is really laying off there, just trying to ensure an extra cushion here, not pushing aggressive, does not want to go up there and challenge this early on. Basically, just give me enough of a life wrap that I can get back up if need be, and I'm just going to ride back here. But it's a dangerous game. There's a checkup. If there's a slight little hiccup there, you could lose touch like we see the 55 of Eichler right now, not really in tow this little pack here. And these are the cars that start in the pit lane, and you need every soldier you can get in this line as they're currently right now on the backstretch as our leaders are about through the tri-oval. So at that pace, they shouldn't get caught. I'll check the times and we'll keep an eye on throughout this broadcast. But right now, though, they're at least trending in the right direction as Jones will lead another lap, add his total up to 3, matching Caitlin Height's number in this series.
Byron Jones, Pacey Wygent, Josh Arnold, Zachary Meredith, and Mark Parkhurst all pushing very hard to start this race. Martin Roberg leading that low line, but no momentum down there. All the cars are preferring that high train so far. The fast ones, anyways, are preferring that high train. Plus, I think you have more cars running the high side than the low side. When you have a train that large, they just punch a big hole through the air, and everybody can work together to get a little bit more speed going through the field. So midline, I should say, is the place to be right now as Byron Jones, the Pied Piper, continues to lead the snake down the field.
We were talking about Gary Donaldson was just trying to stay on the toe, but it was walking a cat's edge to try to get towards it. Right now, he has officially lost the draft and fallen off quickly, so he fell off the edge there, and he is on poise to try to get back to that second pack. Riding on now here with I believe that is the 34 of Blowers. Want to make sure, because obviously, big neon scheme right there with only a number difference ahead. That's Martin Rober. They work together. You can see Flowers really pushing that 35. And 35 is like, you know what? Thanks for the friend. I'm going to jump to the 11. The 11, I don't think was expecting that as he gave a good old shove to Rover. But luckily, no harm, no foul in that bump. But maybe Reynolds like, you owe me one after that situation. But still, Jones, Wygent, Arnold, your top 3 as Flowers is really trying to change that low line here. He gets enough momentum. Don't be shocked if you see Arnold and Meredith maybe jump low here to take that terrain and disperse up Jones and Wygent.
You have to have a short memory at places like Talladega because at this point you're looking for when we get to the end of the race, you're looking for anybody who can help you out, anybody who can get you moving and help you move to the front. Teammates is fine. Team alliances is fine. But when push comes to shove, you're looking for any dance partner to help you do the Watusi up the field and hopefully lead the Conga line on lap 94. So short memories are going to be the name of the game here tonight as everybody looks for someone to love.
Yeah, you gotta find someone to love. You gotta find, I quote the Queen song there, and find you got a friend in me, and other things. We see pit stops having. Was thinking of another sub song. We'll have to hold that thought as pit stops have officially opened here. Obviously, could not make it to the end of stage 1 here. Height will be the Pied Piper that leads down a train. Everyone seems, to the most part, made it down successfully. Didn't hear many calls on the radio there on the radio, so a lot of drivers must be pressing the button there. But 5, 7 cars in. Actually, that's more 9. And we see most of them taking fuel only. If you did not check the tire box here and take 4 tires, you could be left at the altar without a dance partner. But up front, Jones, Wygent, Arnold still top 3. Question is now, a third of the field pitting on lap 9. The question now is, when will we see the rest of these cars pit?
Caitlin Hyatt leads them off the field. Josh Susan, DeMonte Dotson, Josh Gaiman, Selena Thompson, Dean Pavette, Alfred Denny, and James Wright all coming off pit road. It looks like an early stop for the Valfreya Lady Liberty crew as they now come off pit road. They'll probably be a lap down, but it'll all cycle out in the end as we get back to green flag racing back up front. No changes. Byron Jones, Facey Wygent, Josh Arnold, your top 3. Zachary Meredith, Mark Parkhurst, Martin Roberg, all running the high side. Then Bobby Blowers back in 6th, the first driver on the low side before you get to Arrowhead cars. The 11 of Ty Reynolds, the 18 of Shad Swatsworth, and the 44 of Jonathan Smeal, all in the mix right now. Carmen Sienna right behind them. So Arrowhead slowly working their way up the field.
So we're having technical alliances. This is where having teammates and team friends can work together here. Is it can propel you forward and know that, hey, we'll work together when we need to ensure we can work forward. Obviously, as well, we've seen some also these play races as well. Manufacturers working together as well. Toyotas, Chevys, and Fords all working together. As usually, there's a manufacturers cup, so it is incentive as well for Toyotas to work with Toyotas, Fords to work with Fords, and Chevys to work with Chevys. Right now, you can see, I think Wygent's getting a little antsy here. You can see him maybe trying to get something done here to make a lunge, but still sitting right now as well. As Blowers seems having a little bit of blink problems here. We've seen that plague him throughout this year. If it continues up, he may be told to get out of the line here and drop back to the tail end.
Really, the first battle in this first group is between the 34 of Blowers and the 35 of Martin Roberg. Roberg continues to choose high, but Blowers has nowhere to go and is not interested in leaving that quarter panel. If he can get a little bit of help push behind him, he might be able to start moving up this field and start getting back towards the leaders. We know we have those 3 Arrowhead cars behind him. Now the question is, who does Richard Odie work with? He's a privateer. He has no allegiances to anybody. He may elect to jump in with those Arrowhead cars and get moving. Then there's Austin Mongol, the Dr. Pepper driver. He's got no friends up in this part of the field right now. So lots of question marks right now. Lots of rogue drivers, if we could put it, who are all trying to figure out who they want to work with and what makes the most sense for them, as they don't have the same partnerships as we see working through the field.
And in terms of this is a good feeling out process. I've said it before, I'll probably say it again. This is where you kind of get a vibe check. You understand what a car can do and what these cars can do for you. If someone's blinking, if someone feels insecure, if someone feels like it's a point where you can't trust them, you know to make a note in the back of your mind that, hey, don't work with them when the going gets tough, or else you will not make it to the finish line. So these drivers having checklists, they may have short memories, but they have checklists a mile long, knowing when someone wronged them and someone's not trustworthy, and they make sure they refresh it often to ensure a good, complete note-taking list. Right now, Jones still leading the way. Most of that conga on the high side drifted low, and that's usually the sign hands are out the window. So I would not be shocked to see that top 5 contingency maybe pitting this time by here. So keep an eye on the left side of the screen coming out of 4. See if anyone pits in, but this is indicative. Maybe the 35 of Roberg and the 78 of Odie could be the one staying out here, which could be detrimental if that's the case.
Not necessarily detrimental, but would be a very interesting pit stop, is now the 1900. Both come down. The intention of their crews will slow it down on that apron. The 2 will come down as well. The 94 of Parkhurst and the 17 of Meredith. So 5 cars going to come in together this time, and we'll look for the same thing. Just fuel, no tires for any of these drivers, and that will yield the lead, I believe, to Bobby Blowers. Yes, it will. The 34 now on the low side. The 35 and 78 up high. We'll see when Bobby Blowers decides to lead some more drivers down pit road.
2 things to note. Josh Arnold just missed his box there, so he's going to probably lose touch with his pad. Secondly, Pacey Wygent made a great lunge there and overtook Byron Jones in the pit stop cycle there. And That shows how aggressive sometimes you have to be on pit lane to truly get time. Third, this is the leader, the first pack that pitted here. You're going to keep an eye on the left side of your screen here. That pack that came out very disjungled here. As you see, Wygent, Jones, and Meredith not even nose to tail yet, so this is definitely going to help. There's the 94 Pendel. You're going to see Arnold obviously further back as he missed his box. He is going to be out of contention for a top 10 here in stage 1. And you'll see both the 00 with 19 and the 17 come up on the track here and merge up, but still not up to speed. That is going to be zoom for Lady Liberty and Valkyrie Motorsports. They are going to zip around the high side here. It's going to be interesting if Wygent or Jones can blend in somewhere in this train here.
So that is going to be the train for the lead you were just watching back there, as the number of cars up front are starting to dwindle. So the race really is, again, on pit roads. We talked about earlier in the race. Wherever you pit, that could affect where you end up throughout the field. So Roberg right now Roberg and Flowers will be fighting for positions 1 and 2, and it looks like they're going to try to bleed the tank dry before they come down to the attention of their crew, maybe hoping for a caution flag that stacks everybody up and changes the projection of the field. Through the first stage of this race. We'll have to see what their strategy looks like. Also, all 4 Arrowhead drivers now lined up with one another, working together, trying to get the 34 up front, maybe even take some lead laps themselves.
Yeah, no, it's a point right now I'm watching is I don't think it's beneficial for these cars to stay out as long as obviously caution could help them, but with most of these cars not a lap down, it's going to put them in a spot where obviously the only advantage would be they could go longer in stage 2, maybe cycle out and get good stage 2 points. But for some of these drivers, need stage points. Some of them obviously running for fun like Sienna and Smeal. Obviously Smeal running for owners points 1196. But for the drivers, they're just here for the fun of it. But you got Dustin Hall, Swatsworth in this line here that really need those points. They want to make a run here. As you can see right now, Josh Arnold, like I said, missed his pit box, and in turn, he lost the connection to Wygent, Arnold, Wygent, and a few others, Jones and the other pack there. He is going to fall to the back here and now officially go 1 down.
Ooh.
First car to go 1 down here is he'll have to top back in line. Luckily, though, right now, prime position get the lucky dog. As long as he get on tow here, I don't think he's going to get the draft off the back of that 35. It's going to be close.
It'll be close, especially what happens if these guys come down pit road to come down the track. Miscommunication almost between the 44 and the 96. Bump draft coming off of turn number 2. Got the 44 a little bit squirrely, but now they're going to debate coming down pit road. Nobody's going to take the broken yellow line and make it work down there. So Flowers will continue to lead, and the low line is now the place to be. Swatsworth, Reynolds, Smeal, Sienna, your top 5. Austin Mongol, Dustin Hall, Blake Henderson, Matthew Boone, and Zachary Apperson rounding out this lead group top 10. Only 13 cars on the lead lap in this group right now. Josh Arnold, who's catching them, is a lap down. Then you get to a couple of different drafts. A pack of 3 right now with Tommy Withers, Josh Stoltz, and Hunter Peach running by themselves 13 through 15. Then Caleb Carter is leading another pack of his own, another 5 cars. So eventually all these packs are going to catch up with one another. Eventually they're all going to amalgamate together. The question though is, who is really going to be the leader once it all happens?
Yeah, it's going to be pace your betting odds now. Right now, you can see the 90 for a Pendel, another driver that was in that contingency with Arnold, Wygent, Meredith, Jones. He will also fall back here into the clutches of this pack here as well. The leaders will also go 1 down for the time being as well. Obviously, until the leaders pit here, going to try to find a way in, but they are nose to tail here. Something else to know as well, 2 cars came in that time by both James Wright and the 93 machine. Both came in that time by. They were the cars that started on the pit lane. So they will now merge out onto the track here. So now it's worth noting, we know the stage limit on fuel looks like it's about 19 to 22 laps. Yep, it is 19-22 laps. So we are now officially in the window where you can comfortably make it. Obviously, these drivers were saving a little bit when in tow. Obviously, we're not leading really the trains, maybe except for Flowers. So it's safe to assume they can go a couple laps later if need be, but it's not going to be much longer until they come in. So they are going to run those tanks dry, and we're going to see them pit probably within 3 laps here. But right now, it's still being led by Flowers, Swatsworth, and Reynolds in that top 3.
Bobby, Swatsworth, Reynolds were top 3. Arrowhead making up 4 of the top 5. And again, now we're all watching that group of drivers because we want to know who's going to be the first one to come down pit road, and is everybody going to come down together? Are they going to work together in order to try to keep the train moving the right way, and maybe even, if not control the lead, be able to control their destiny within it and try to get back caught up real quick? Here comes the Arrowhead cars, Swatsworth, Reynolds, the 44, the 96, all coming to the attention of their crews, with the 97 of Austin Mongold. A couple other takers as well. 35 of Robert comes in as well. So those group will come down pit road for the fuel only. It leaves the 34 of Blowers all by himself, as here comes that second pack.
Yep, second pack now going to zoom on by here. There they go. Here's the pack led by the 3 of Caitlin Height and 81 Associate, the Lady Liberty Valkyrie Motorsports pack. They caught the pack of Wyatt Meredith quite quickly. Arrowhead cars now officially leaving pit lane, so they are going to zoom on by. I think it's no one's business. Keep an eye on the left side of your screen right now. There is one Arrowhead car. Here comes the other contingencies right there. There's Mongold. There's Sienna. There's another one as they catch up here, and they are just going to get there well before even the lead car of that train can merge up to the line of Tommy Reynolds. So right now, still looking good with that Lady Liberty Valkyrie domination, as they look poised to take the lead in a couple laps time. But right now, though, it's a Dustin Hall show. Henderson, Hall, Boone, your top 3. Contingency of Unforgiven and Tombstone working together here. And again, some of those drivers in this top 3, long winless streaks. Boone, 49. Henderson, 59. Kevin Gibbon this pack at 40. So hungry drivers as well, trying to get that win and find their way back to victory lane after getting the first win next year.
LA Knight on the hood of that machine for Blake Henderson. Behind him, it'll be the 26 machine, I believe, back there. So it looks like right now team favors and team management is the play of the game. Work with your teammates, trust the process, and slowly work your way up through this field, knowing that you have partners that will help you draft and help you move throughout the field. So Tombstone, Unforgiven, they figured something out here. Right now, they're in the lead, but how much longer can they hold it? That's the question.
But confirm right now, Withers and the 9, Josh Schultz are in this time by. Blowers just on the radio bomb right now, saying he is coming in this time by. Josh Arnold obviously already made his pit stop, so he does not have to save at all. Odie going to be in this time as well. So 2 cars in this little pack here. Hands out the window coming in. They're the last 2 in the train, though. So we'll see if that maybe works way up the Pied Piper to Hall, Henderson, and Boone. So we'll keep an eye on the pit lane here, see who elects to come down, and it looks like it's only going to be those 2, as the Tombstone Unforgiven contingency will stay out another lap with the help of Pendel and Arnold.
So right now, Tombstone Unforgiven, 2 teams that are in alliance with one another, continue to dominate on this field. Hall, Henderson, Boone, all working together. The 4 of Apperson, the first driver, not in that team. The 4 belonging, of course, the 4 is part of Tombstone Motorsports. So Tombstone and Unforgiven working in that top 4 rate, and the top 4 group behind them is the 94 of Mark Parkhurst, who's with Premier Racing Club, not in the mix. And then there's the 2 who's still a lap down, if my math is correct. Yes, actually it's both Parkhurst and Arnold who are a lap down. So they're waiting for these drivers to come down pit road. Here comes Henderson, here comes the 12 of Hall, and here comes the 28 of the 28 machine of Matthew Boone and Zachary Apperson. So now Tombstone all coming in for a group pit stop.
We're going to have to keep an eye on the red and blue berries there, as Henderson was on the brakes aggressively there, locked them up a treat. We'll see if he did not speed or not. Going to zoom in here. Again, it should be about a 5-second stop. If he made it correctly, he should be getting gone here as Apperson is left, and it is clock ticking, unless he's taken 4 tires here to try to get out of stage 2 here. 15, 16, 17 seconds. I think both of them may have got busted here. Hall and Apperson, though, are leaving right now, so both 2 out of the 4 Tombstone cars of Henderson and Boone got caught speeding. One kind of influenced the other there. They will lose if he'll be held for 45 seconds in the pit lane, and will really hurt the Tombstone Unforgiven coalition here. But right now, back up to the front. This time by, we'll have 6 laps to go here. It's Height, Sosi, Dotson, Gaiman, YG top 5, as Lady Liberty and the Valkyrie cars are right now occupying those top 4 spots. Similar to what we just saw with Tombstone Unforgiven. Question is, though, as obviously the 3 and the 81 have been dominating the season right now, And at least at stage 1, the question is, can we see Wygant, Jones, maybe someone else from coast to coast back there, try to get towards the front here and maybe make room on the high side? Maybe there's a mutual truce here, knowing that this top 7 spots all going to get stage points. Maybe not worth rolling the dice here, especially if you're Wygant, when you got a comfortable spot already locked into the playoffs.
At this point, there's no need to push each other too aggressively. You know you're getting playoff points. You know you're getting stage points. And at the end of the day, those points could make a big difference when we get to the chase in just 3 more races after this. So this could just be a matter of everybody agreeing to play nice, everybody agreeing to work with one another and save the big racing for stage number 3, which I've got a feeling stage number 3 is going to be a slugfest between all these teams and all these drivers.
You know why it's going to get bad right now? Obviously, stage 3 will be a slugfest. But right now, if you're Matthew Boone, that speeding penalty just hurt a ton because it's going to be you and your teammate going to fight it out for the lucky dog here, as you'll be the first 2 cars, 1 down. Trout and Wright are also in this pack too, so it's actually going to be joining the fray here. And if Boone can't get launched up right there at the tail end of that train, he's got a good chance now to be in the lucky dog contention here. So it's going to be the tail end of this little pack here. You'll see those 2 cars, the 93 and in turn the 905 of Trout and Wright. They are the lucky dog battle. Henderson and Boone may have to get linked up here, and they're going to have a couple laps to try to upset those top 2 cars if they want to have a chance to fight for that lucky dog. So 2 races we're watching. Tail end of this pack for the lucky dog, and the top end of this pack for who will take the stage win. But I spy my little eye, a pack led by the 29. They're slowly, albeit slowly, reeling in this little pack here, even though that is actually for petition.
Reeling them in, yes, but the problem is I don't know that they're going to have enough time to catch up to them and make any noise for stage number 1, especially as we're only 3 laps away from closing down this stage. Right now, as it stands, DJ Trout would get the lucky dog if they use the caution flag right in the second. Yes, DJ Trout would get the lucky dog if they stage end right now. Blake Henderson, James Wright, Matthew Boone, Gary Donaldson, Elias Flores, those are late stage pit stops, so they may be able to stay out and get the wave around to get back on the lead lap and continue their pit strategy. We'll have to see how everything shakes out, but right now, the early pit strategy for the Lady Liberty drivers seems to be working as they've got a stranglehold on the stage.
Yeah, it's only going to be a 3-car fight for the stage. Lucky dog there, as Henderson is in that draft with Trout and Wright. So 3 cars fighting for 1 lucky dog here, but it looks like they're going to catch 1 more to add to that range. It's going to be the 55 of Caleb Eichler, and that Raging Canes machine is going to get caught here as well. And a little bit more, spice to the soup. But back up to the front here, never truly left. You can see that outside line led by Wygant, Jones, and Meredith. They are charging and they are pushing here. They want that stage win. They want those all crucial stage points here, especially if you're Meredith. So they are not comfortable with riding. They want to take what they can get here, as they will be side by side from 3 and 4 here. Wygant, at least a fender clear, but they're going to be side by side off of 4 here. Next time by, they'll be on the white flag of the stage. It's going to be a battle between Height and Wygant for stage glory here.
But Wygant now gets an incredible run with the help of the 19 and 17, but the Lady Liberty Valfreya drivers down low aren't going to be willing to give it up. Last lap for stage number 1, and once again, the high side is the place to be. That's where all the action's going on right now, as the 00 of Wygant will be led by Jones and the 17 of Zach Meredith. So 4 drivers up front, 6 drivers down low, and the high side is the hot side as the 00 continues to lead. Right now, Blake Henderson in the lucky dog spot if nothing else changes.
Yeah, it's going to be a race on. Trout came down pit lane, which is a bit odd as pit lane was closed. In turn being lapped down, so maybe trying a different strategy, but it's going to bite them in the rear. But as they come out of 3 and 4, that outside line well clear here. It looks like Henderson is going to be the prime candidate of the lucky dog, but we'll see Meredith going to go way low, try to get a little greedy here. Wygant will cover it off. He will win stage number 1. Meredith, though, will get second points place billing in the stage. Then Jones, Height, Sosi, your top 5 as the rest file in. And there you can see why Meredith made that moon. Because with Boone right now currently a lap down, that is basically, you can put a magical 9 points ahead of Matthew Boone right now, and about 13 clear of Austin Mongold, and add another 9 to Dustin Hall's total. So that is going to help Meredith a treat and even get him a little closer to Blowers and Braille. So those crucial stage points playing in, and going to give them at least a little bit of something to fall back on, just in case it goes metaphorically up at the end of the next stage. Right now, looking at the unofficial results in Stage 1, Wygant will take the win with Meredith in second, Jones in third, Height in fourth, Dotson in fifth, Sosi in sixth, Gaiman in seventh, Swatsworth in eighth, Reynolds in ninth, John Smealer top 10. So other than the Lady Liberty Valkyrie kind of combination there, and obviously Wygant, Meredith, and Jones's contingency, it's worth noting that Arrowhead really got linked up there at the end and got some good stage points for all their drivers.
And you thought I was sucking up to the boss.
I mean, I still do, but it also was correct. So, hey, overall, though, you were right on both sides, so congrats. We'll see if they can keep that going.
We'll see if they can keep that going, but as I mentioned earlier, those Arrowhead cars are incredibly strong on these plate races. We know how well they can work together when they work together, and they never disappoint. So we will see exactly what happens and how we can figure it out when everything starts on in stage number 2. To your point, though, about DJ Trout, I don't believe they officially closed pit road when at the 2 to go. I did not get the memo they closed it, so we may be okay after all.
They didn't. You are correct here. Obviously, now if Control's listening on the broadcast, you may have just ratted them out. But you are correct. Pit lane wasn't officially closed by Stewart's role. Now, obviously, again, Race Control can deem, obviously, late callbacks and penalties if need be. But right now, though, letter of the law, Trout's play worked out. They will get the wave around here. And obviously, it was supposed to be, that was supposed to be so. Who knows? But anyway, Wygant, Meredith, Jones, all in the pit lane here. A couple cars staying out. Obviously, Henderson to get the lap back along with Wright. But the rest of the pit lane, though, going to be a crowdy boy, as we'll see who elects to come in here and take 4 tires, fuel, and everything else they can get.
This should be 4 tire stops for everybody on the field. Wygant coming to the attention of his crew. It will be at least 2 tires. Will it be 4? Whatever Wygant does, I imagine the rest of the field will do. Yes, it'll be 4 tires for Wygant before he goes down and away. And everybody else probably looking for the same call. 4 tires, full tank of fuel, except for the Arrowhead cars. The 44 Smeal comes out. Carmen Sienna comes out before Pacey Wygant. I believe those 2 drivers took 2 and got back and tried to get on the track faster.
I don't hate. I was gonna say I don't hate that call though, because it works because they came in so much later. They could take less fuel, and considering that you have to pit in the next stage anyway for a full tank of fuel anyway, so overall they could take less fuel. Why not just get the track position when the cars that came in at lap 9, like Height and Sosi, have to pretty much fill the tank back up again? So why not take a roll of the dice here? I don't hate that call at all by Arrowhead.
Actually, I take it back. The 44 of Smeal and the 96 of Sienna did not take tires. They just took, it was a gas and go stop for those 2 drivers. It's a bold move. It's a bold move, and I like it. But I don't know how much having those older tires will hurt them later on down the run. You know, in the time it takes to fill up the tank, you can at least get 2 outside tires on the car and get moving again. So even if Kristina's yelling in my ear, arguing that it was a shorter fill for them. I hear you, Kristina. I agree with you, but I still don't know if you could have gotten away with 2 tires and still come out ahead of Wygant and company.
It would have been close. You had a little bit. They were a little bit further back, but they did get synced up. So I kind of agree with Joe on that one. They could have probably took the 2 tires and then took 2 on the other pit stop, and then when they came in, could have took 4 tires. They could have did a wrap around, but now they're gonna have slightly older tires. Even though tire economy isn't really a necessity around here as much, having that extra little grip though could definitely make it so you can make some moves stick a little bit easier than when you have some old tires. More cars coming in. The 3 of Hall, the 12 of Dustin Hall, the 3 of Caitlin Height, and a few others topping off here, which is interesting because we saw at the latest of a run there, we saw Constantinu Carter come in at 23, and when presumably we get the green flag this time by, it'll be lap 35, and that's going to be about 25, 26 laps to stage completion. So that's almost within a shout if you can really back it up here. So looks like those drivers coming in now either are thinking they can make it to the finish line here at the end of stage 2, maybe if there's a caution, maybe there isn't, or maybe can go so short on the fuel that they can leapfrog some extra spots here. So handful of cars coming in the top off and trying something different here.
Christina, can we get the weather out here? Because there's a point I would like to make with regards to that tire argument. Right now, the temperature outside is 87 degrees with a wind of 11 miles per hour, but the track temperature, 127 degrees down there. Even though they're laying down rubber, it's still a smooth and a little bit slick track out there. So having those extra 2 tires, especially in the outside, is going to help you navigate those turns a lot faster. It's going to make it easier, and as I've said before, smooth is fast. So going back to those 2 Arrowhead cars, don't hate the call, but I think the smarter call would have been 2 tires and a fill up and back to work.
Yeah. I see the idea for both sides here. I like the call. It's not bad, but I do kind of agree with Joe. Having that extra grip really could play in. But again, Kristina Ryan is obviously the best of the 3 of us here. I think we could argue in that point, and she thinks the left sides actually wear faster than the right one. So, who knows? So overall, though, we'll see how it plays out, and especially this track with Talladega, it wearing out a little bit more on the lefts than the right. So at the end of the day, I'm gonna put my money on. Sorry, Joe. I'm gonna put my money in my prediction on the collegiate esports driver over the commentator. I hope you understand.
Bianca Constantino, who is a winner here at Talladega, will lead them to the green flag to open up stage number 2. Can Constantino hold the line and win in stage number 2? We'll find out in less than 30 laps as a green flag flies, and Constantino gets a great jump off the field. So does the 44 Smeal, the 43 Caleb Carter blocking everybody, and the 96 ready to go, but nowhere to go.
As we enter the travel here, about to see the start of stage number 2, and it was a bit of an underdog battle there. And our own Carmen Sienna, the chairwoman of AV, is doing lead lap 1. Car gets spun there across the track. The 43, but luckily saves it. Doesn't come up the road there and take out a bunch of other cars. Good save by the 43 of Carter, but obviously that is going to be a lot of time and spots lost. But you know what? It's better than a torn up race machine there. So we'll see it again here. I think it's Bad Bump City. It was. Constantino gave a bad bump to Carter. Carter, though, great save. Luckily didn't take anyone else out there.
Carter made a great save as we're going to work on board with him to see what exactly happened. Yep, got the bad shove, but was able to remain calm, not let the brakes up, and keep that car going in the right direction. Woes it down just enough to get back on track, so he does save the faster pair, even though he's going to be further back in the field. But this could breed some opportunity for him as he could try to undercut everybody and come down pit road earlier. Meanwhile, back up front, change for the lead as Zachary Meredith, Josh Arnold, Casey Wygant, and Byron Jones now lead the field.
You can see right now, obviously up front, like I said, Meredith, Arnold, they were charged around Carmen Sienna back there. In turn, Constantino was having a bit of blinking problems on that opening lap. You can still see her blinking in that line right now as well, as it is becoming a bit of an odd situation now, as she's got to be careful with the blinking in turn. If you get blinked too hard, and again, similar we saw Blowers in that regard, if you blink and you get a bit too blinked, the drivers behind can't push you if they don't know where you are, and in turn, you become basically a hazard, if you will, that no one wants to work with. But right up front again, Meredith leading the way with Arnold, who, remember, was a lap down for a good chunk of stage number 1. Now in second, pushing Meredith here. Almost a bit of a tight shove there, but Meredith, being the pro, can receive it with a grace. So Meredith, Arnold, Wygant, Jones, Flowers, your top 5. Pretty much single file throughout the top 10 here, as you can see in that shot there, that inside line, led by Caitlin Height, who is currently occupying, I believe, P14. So first 13 spots, all single file at the moment.
So far, a repeat of stage number 1 up front with Zachary Meredith leading Josh Arnold, Pacey Wygant, Byron Jones, Vi Blowers, and Martin Roberg once again electing to use that middle lane where they're finding a lot of speed in that group. Carmen, Sienna, Jonathan Smeal, the teammates, now in 7th and 8th. Austin Mongold and Elias Flores, the Ascent teammates, into running out the top 10. So lots of interesting strategies being pulled around right now, but everybody, for the most part, electing to use that middle lane in order to get the cars around and get them moving faster and faster. We'll see who's going to be the first one down on the going low side, because whoever goes down low first could be an indicator that they're going to come down pit road before everybody else.
Yeah, and that worked out perfectly for Lady Liberty and Valkyrie as they basically leapfrogged the whole field. It only took kind of a good effort. So the first cars that pitted in that train got the lead, and then obviously the second group of Wygant in turn got it as well. So if you see the first kind of major contingency pit, you have to basically to single out the window. You have to come in next time by or the following lap to make something happen. But Kristina brings up a good point as we see it circled there. Carmen Sienna trying to save to a magical number, and like I was kind of hinting at with those extra cars that came in and topped off, it's a reasonable range. We saw Constante make it 23. We saw Henderson and Hall make it to 25. It's about a 25, 26 lap stint to the end of stage 2 from when these cars last pitted. So if you can save just maybe a lap and a half, you could just make it to the end of this stage. But the problem is once everyone's kind of saving here, it just takes one driver saying, all right, it's go time, and just make everyone have to turn up the intensity here. So it's going to be careful, and right now one car coming in, it's James Wright along with DJ Trout, but they are a little bit further back in this contingency here. But they will be coming in, though, along with Lilac Sears. So Stepping Stone give me the first blink, along with a handful of the cars up the road, including Constantino and Sharp.
Lots of forwards going down pit road. This could be a manufacturer strategy, a manufacturer call among all those teams coming together and saying, let's all try to leapfrog this field like they did last time. So Sharp comes down, Caleb Eichler comes down, Constantino, Lilac Zier, James Wright, DJ Trout, all coming to the attention of their crews, and we'll see exactly what this is going to be. This should be a fuel-only stop, as many of these drivers came down during the stage break.
They did come down during the stage break here, and they kind of signifying, I'd rather go fast than try to save. Because they all will leave their boxes, most of them electing to take 2 tires for the most part here. No major fuel-only stops, though, so 2 tires is the call for most of the forwards. No one going to feel like, obviously, if you go out alone, you're obviously going to be in a chance of getting caught. But right now, though, it's still the Meredith show up front with Arnold, Wygant, Jones, and Blowers, your top 5. Field a few cars, maybe getting a bit antsy here, especially if you're Meredith, because being the lead car, you can't save anything at all. So I think they know, and they kind of signified, hey, I know I can't make it to the end. Let's just lead as many laps as we can and look good on the ABM screen.
Sometimes looking good is better than feeling good. Well, I'll put it that way. But, you know, that being said, you, Kevin, and Kristina are the scholars of plate track racing. We definitely have a disagreement on how it works, but I reserve my judgment to you guys because you obviously have a lot of passion for this. Kevin, if you're leading the pack right now, what is your strategy? Are you just running as hard as you can for as long as you can, or are you trying to do some math to go backwards and say, hey, if I do X, then maybe I can still lead this pack and win the stage?
I think it's a little bit of both. Obviously, we can check their speeds here, and we can get a good speed comp on it. The leader has the ability to kind of control the lead pack here, and if they want to, especially with friends behind. We know Arnold, Wygant, Jones were all working together. But we saw Sienna down the straight was running about 190, 189. We see Meredith right now kind of clocking out at 192, 193, leading this train. So, in turn, maybe just backing up just a bit here, especially in the corners now running 186, but obviously slowing it down here. But I think they're really trying to hit that number here. Is now actually Meredith coming in, so I looks like I spoke a bit too soon. Top 5 all in here. So they look like they were not trying to save it all. They just wanted to get as much clean air as they could to ensure that if everyone pits, they can cycle towards the front. So top 5 all in, hand the lead over to Caitlin Height and Parkhurst, who did come in and topped off on lap 33. So they have the best chance of making it to the end of stage number 2 without having to pit.
Bobby Blowers, Byron Jones, Pacey Wygant, Josh Arnold, Zachary Meredith, all to the attention of their crews, and these are fuel-only stops. These are splash and goes as Wygent will lead them off pit road in pretty much the same order they came in. Now check that. Pace Wygent will lead them out. Josh Arnold second. Meredith drops 2 positions to that third in that pack. Byron Jones by Blowers rounding out the group in that pack. So now your leader is the number 3, last week's winner, Caitlin Heighton. She's got a contingency with her. No teammates, but she knows how to handle herself up there, so I think she'll be fine. Mark Parker, Steve Levette, Dustin Hall. Her nearest teammates are the 33 of Gaiman and the 35 of DeMonte Dodson.
A few cars coming in. Smeal, Denny, Thompson, Sosi, and Gibney all in. Interesting contingency that 3 did not follow suit, because obviously we know, at least with Sosi and her, have a bit of a good partnership the past couple weeks, but she is comfortable where she is obviously leading this train. But here you can see right now they've caught the back of a second pack here, and that's going to help that 3 with extra fuel economy here. So I wouldn't be not shocked if that 3 elects to kind of just stay behind here, not really force the issue, not really press it, and actually is coming on in. So speak of the devil, she is in, and she's basically brought another whole contingency on with her. A little bit of a lockup by a few, but everyone's comfortable. Look at that move by Clavitt. Almost got hooked by Dodson with the early pit box there, but all pitting in. And now here's the next question, because the second groove of the Wygent train basically took fuel only, 4 seconds. We'll see again on the timing scoring board here about 4, 5-ish seconds. So this is going to be an interesting blend to see how those two blend out here. But right now, Parkhurst leads this race here in that little second pack.
Caitlin Height comes out first, Damon second, DeMonte Dodson third. The Valfreya League Liberty teammates all connected once again. Dean Clavette, Austin Mongold, Josh Stoltz, and Elias Flores. Ascent using this time to get connected as well. So they have a good chance of leading when push comes to shove at the end of this stage, as Mark Parkhurst now comes down to the attention of his crew. The 94 looks like he's going in alone. Yes, it is. A very weird timing for the 94. You'd think he'd elect to go down with other drivers.
I think he got his wires crossed there, at least would be my guess. Possibly got the wires crossed in that regard. Looks like Dustin Hall got caught for speeding on his pit lane here. He got held for 45 seconds, so take him out of detention for any major stage points here in stage 2. Here's Pacey Wygent right now, currently sitting somewhere on the track here. Looks like about P15, P14. Right now leading the train of the drivers that would presumably take the lead, currently 19th. We would take the lead of this race if everyone elects to pit in. But, as you can see right now, working around Dodson, Gaiman, and a few others, trying to charge forward here in his double zero.
Right now, technically your leader as we cross the start-finish line, I believe, is going to be the 35 of Martin Roberg. Yes, we got trouble on the track.
We do have a crash indeed right now. Looks like it is Josh Arnold in the low side here. No caution yet, though, has been called. We stay green, more importantly, as it is still a bit of a case situation right now. So 33 smoking engine badly. That is going to have to probably be a tow here to the pit lane, as he is right now in regard. As you can see right there, the engine basically letting go. But surprisingly, 2 cars involved in that incident. No caution, though. So overall, odd situation, but we stay green as 33 is there, and the 2 obviously still stopped on track. So very interesting for the Auburn Tire Racing machine.
So this incident starts with the 17 and 2 just getting a great run coming off of turn number 2. The 2 tries to lay off the accelerator to not hit the double zero, and the 17 of Apperson instead will hit the 2. I'm sorry, Meredith will hit the 2 and drive him down the lane. 2 collects the 33, and those 2 drivers will have to come back to their pit lanes for that quick repair to get back on track. Meanwhile, more pit stops happening. The 11, the 18, the 44 and 96, the Arrowhead contingency, all coming down to the attention of their crews. They will fill up and go to get back on track.
And we're now riding aboard here with the double zero. Pacey Wygent, you can see all the Arrowhead contingency coming out of their pit box here. You're going to see right now Wygent going to zoom on by. There's Sienna. There's another Arrowhead car right now. It's going to be pretty much easy pickings for this double zero machine as they skeet on back here and try to get around the line here. But still, handful of cars have yet to make that possibly last pit stop here, as next to by will have 11 to go in the stage. And Roberg, Odie, Withers, Apperson, Henderson, along with Boone and Peach, have yet to make that pit stop. Worth noting, Boone last came in at 24. The rest came in at 33.
Martin Roberg, currently your leader, sitting behind quite a bit lap traffic. If he were to pass any of these drivers, they would be the first ones in, the first ones one lap down on this field. But right now, Roberg just happy to sit in that lane, let this lap traffic continue to do their thing, and just ride in the air tunnel. Let them do the racing as he just comes along for the ride. Let them do the hard work. I'll just enjoy the air conditioning back here. Richard Odie in second, but he's a little bit of a time zone away between him and the 35. So the 35 could be looking to cruise to an easy Stage 2 victory.
Yeah, speeds. I'm going to check the speeds here if we can. You can see it checking his RPMs here. He is really kind of lifting here. I think his end game here at the very least, though, as you can see his RPMs, he's going to try to get on Flores. But I think he's really going to try to stretch this. Roberg seems like the driver that would be willing to do this, trying to throw the Hail Mary here to try to internally get to the end here. So right now, Roberg doing what he needs to do, getting that draft help, 8 clear of Odie, who's currently sitting in second position along with Tommy Withers. So overall, though, things are turning up Roberg, but that could easily change if he has to pit. Then the question mark is, what can the second pack do to get to that magic number if Roberg can't?
I like what Roberg's doing here. I very much like what Roberg's doing here, doing the saving, doing the stretching, just running within the pack itself. So I think this is a brilliant strategy. Let everybody else, continue to run at the tail end of the lead lap. Just enjoy the ride with the rest of that crew as the 22 now comes off pit road. Hope to see if anyone else came down with him. The 28 came down with him as well, but Matthew Boone stuck in his pit stall. Might have been another speeding penalty for him. I really like the strategy by Martin Roberg right there. He's just going to let it ride, enjoy the view for as long as he can, make everyone else do the hard work, and he will just take the spoils of it. If he can conserve it, if he can save fuel the entire time, that might be the move to give him the stage win.
Yeah, he's got to be careful to make sure he stays in tow as they work around that 22 of Donaldson. Right now, he's, again, a seasoned veteran of iRacing, so he should be good to do it. A little bit further back, though, they're getting racy right around where, if they do have to pit, they will cycle through. Right now, you can see Wygant leading, but you can see a bit of a revolt here as Clavitt, Reynolds, and a few others charging up here on that low line. So it is basically all-out war here through what could be the lead if that top 6 have to make their final pit stop here before the stage ends.
Before the stage ends with 8 to go at this juncture, Roberg continues to lead. Right now, he's got over 8 seconds on Richard Odie, 8 seconds on Tommy Withers, and 7 and 11 on Zach Apperson. So plenty of time here. I mean, if he goes down pit road, obviously he's not going to win. Those cars will pass him in a hurry. But if he can just continue to make it work there, that could definitely be the challenge. Right now, you're watching the battle between the 00 Pacey Wygant and the number 91 of Dean Clavette. I'm sorry, the 90 of Dean Clavette. Side by side here, they're battling for position 7, 8, 9. And Pacey Wygant's on a mission tonight. He wants to win some races. He wants to win tonight's race. He's got a car that may not be denied that opportunity if he can get it in the right position.
Yeah, he's again, I've talked about the curse he's had at plate tracks. He's been strong, he's been a good driver, he's just never really found his way to victory lane when the chips were down here at the plate tracks, whether it be the trucks or that. As you can see, Clavitt not going to get stuck behind that 55 machine, going to make it 3 wide here as the race and the heat is on, as both Hall, Trout, and that 55 will go at least one down here, possibly multiple, so they'll have to make sure they link back up as the race for the Lucky Dog. We interested between the 3 of them, but they are getting very antsy indeed as they are still trying to find their way around here. Trout is going to check out here. Look how close Meredith and Jones got to the wall there. You could separate a piece of paper between them and the wall, but hey, it only counts in millimeters as long as you don't hit it.
That's what they say about hand grenades, horseshoes, and henway.
Henway? What is henway?
About 2 pounds.
Fair indeed. Anyway, though, Wygant now firmly in control here as they look like the little civil war they've had has settled out with Wygant standing tall. But you can see right now, though, it is still, we'll cut back to the lead. Roberg still leading the way. Hearing on radio comms, Odie in the 78 is going to kind of concede his second spot here with Withers in tow pitting. So we're going to keep an eye on this for now, and you'll see he, along with Withers, will come on in. and they will pit. So Roberg, I think he's made his bet. He is lying in it. He is going to go to the end here. But Odie and Withers, they're going to send up the white flag and going to give a few extra spots to that other pack.
5 laps to go in stage number 2. Roberg continues to lead. Zach Apperson will take position number 2. Blake Anderson 3rd, Hunter Peach 4th, and it will be Pacey Wygant now in the top 5. But there's plenty of time between Wygant and Peach and company. There's still 15 seconds. There's still 2 groups between those 2 drivers, and Roberg just happily hanging out on the tail end of that group. You see there how racy it's getting between them. 3 wide behind them. Caitlin Height running the right side, the 43 running the low side, and now the run just starts to get a little crazy as everybody gets that great run with nowhere to go. They got to whoa it up and hope they don't hit each other.
And this is where it gets interesting, as you know, they're racing hard here, and this is what Roberg wants to see. If one car gets wrecked here, that pretty much ends the stage, and Roberg will take victory, and this will also help out Apperson, Henderson, and Peach in tow. So overall, though, this is what Roberg's kind of like. If he wasn't have his hand full of steering wheel, he'd be rubbing his hands together, hoping that a little bit of chaos happens back here. But right now, as you can see, that high line, Wygant, Meredith Jones, they have been linked together, pretty much nose to tail since the start of this thing, and they are not ready to end that contingency anytime soon, as we have a little over 5 laps to go in the stage. As with a few spots giving stage points now in this top 10, Sosi, that Hello Kitty car on that high line, is currently the last driver in on stage points. Is going to be a gaggle around him, try to get a few extra points.
Yeah, gaggle's a good way to call it, as now the very high line is the place everyone wants to be. 6 cars, 7 cars, 8 cars deep as 3 goes to 2. No, the 11's still going to try to make something happen on that middle line, trying to get around the 94 up there. The 94, of course, of Parkhurst. Not sure what Parkhurst can do as a solo car. Without draft partners, you fall back very, very quickly. High side, though, definitely the place to be. I'm counting at least 7 cars on that high side, all working together in the Congo line, trying to keep the speed going.
This is interesting. Apperson and Henderson both came into the pit lane right now, leaving 2 cars that have stayed out right now. Hunter Peach.
Roberg's in.
Oh, Roberg is in right now. You can see him coming on in right now, so Roberg can't make it any farther. He is in, and they are spinning in the back there. Cars around. Still green at the moment. Looks like it was Parkhurst and company. It was the 34 of Blowers, who is currently way skewed right now. Toe link clearly broken on that right side right now, but we stay green. More importantly, Peach right now going to lead the way, but he has got not a lot of help, and you can see right there in the far shot, that pack is closing with very little help. We'll see if Wygant and co can catch Peach with 2 to go in the stage.
We'll come back to that incident at the end of the stage. Pit line is now officially closed, and we'll continue to watch that lead up for the race up front with Pacey Wygant now currently sitting in the lead, I believe, as he will dispatch Pacey Wires. He'll dispatch the 2 machine. Hunter Beach still in the lead, but about 4 seconds to go between them. They might catch him very, very quickly. Wygant, Meredith, Byron Jones, Caitlin Height, Josh Susi, all 5 on the high side. 2 more stragglers on that high side, including the 12 and the 28. The 8 now on the low side, along with the 11, the 27, and the 2, who gets back into business. Can they catch the 20 of Hunter Peach all by himself?
Looking at the times right now, fell over a second. Hunter Peach, though, he is coming. No, he's not coming in. Times really fell. I thought he was going to make a pit stop in, but he has made his bet. He is going to lie in it. He will see the white flag in the stage, but look at that. Enter stage right. You got Pacey Wygant. He's out of fuel. Hunter Peach has officially ran it out. He could not make it, so he is going to have to reap what he sows. So race is on here for the stage victory. Wygant looking to sweep the stages. Meredith, a driver on that cut line, knows the aggression he has to take if he wants to win this stage, and we'll see what he can do here. Jones, obviously maybe remembering what Meredith did to him. We'll see if he's enticed to help that 17. That inside line of Reynolds not getting some momentum, but it may be too little too late to crash this party for the win.
So Wygant continues to lead. Now here comes Height. She's going to go from the midline to the low line. Full head of steam on the 3 machine. The 00 drops down to block. 00 17. And now the 33 going to play. Could have a problem to play in here. As they'll go 4 wide. The 3 gets wide. The 3 gets loose. Gets it back in the lane. And the 00 of Pacey Wygant will take the stage. And I believe it's Byron Jones and the 3 of Caitlin Height rounding out your top 3 in that stage.
Yeah, it was a very chaotic stage there. Try to get it all on the screen there, and you saw almost the 3 got turned there and ended up taking a big spin there, but luckily everyone kept it pointing the right direction. And even though we had maybe a moment where you could argue could have been maybe a caution at least twice in that stage. There's Hunter Peach, by the way. He's now officially going to go 1 down, may lose more, maybe better if he towed. But we'll take a look at the unofficial results first, then we'll take a look what happened to Bobby Blowers. It's Wygant, Jones, Height, Reynolds, Sosi, Thompson, Meredith, Dotson, Swatsworth, and Denny, your top 10 in stage number 2.
So now we get to the money stage. We get to the point where you have to put your name on the line. You got to put the cash down, and you've got to figure out where you want to be and how you want to manage the stage. 34 laps plus or minus. They've perfectly trisected this race, and now it's all about how do I manage the race from here on out. First 2 stages were great to shake down the truck, shake down the car, shake down the speedway. And now it's a matter of how do I want to make this work in order to win this race? How do I work with teammates? How do I work with my car in order to win the race?
It'll be interesting how this plays out. We'll take a look at what happened to Bobby Blowers here while pit stop's about to start here real fast. Obviously, it looks like it was a little bit further back than this. Obviously, that's when he jumped the pit lane. So we'll take a look here just in a second here, and you can see right now, we'll play it out here. Looks like he's had a bit of a slight DC. There he is right there. He gets squirrely in the pack, and he just gets hooked right up in the Thompson, sent down the road. And there you can see it. There's the damage on the right side. So it looks like overall those few little hits on the wheel there just ended up breaking the toe length and in turn put Bobby in a bad spot.
But I also think the 34 had a technical issue there because you see the other cars he made contact with. None of them were affected by that incident. So I think the 34 may have had a disconnect issue, may have had something else go on in order to bring out that caution flag.
Possibly, indeed. Definitely blinking did not help in that situation. Pit lane officially opened here. Pretty much going to be a packed house as all cars elect to come on in here. And we're going to now see the question, is it going to be 4 tires and fuel for most? Some of the drivers, maybe like Thompson, will have some damage to fix. Will they burn a fast pair or not? It's going to be interesting to see how this race off pit lane pays out. Keep an eye on it. Right now, though, it's the calm for the storm. You see Odie going around there to get the wave around.
I think everyone looking for the same exact things from their crews. 4 tires, full tank of virtual racing fuel before they go down and away. Jonathan Smeal gets a quick run off pit road, as I think he's one of the first bold ones to not take 4 tires all the way around. Right now, the race off pit road, I believe, goes to Josh Susie, who's in the 81, beats off Byron Jones, Pacey Wygant, Caitlin Height, and Tommy Reynolds to get back on the track.
Well, that's close. I think Martin Roberg took fuel only on his stop, so he is going to take the lead here in that number 35. Remember, he came in tail end of the last pit stop there, probably for 4 tires in fuel, so he could just fill on up and take that advantage to the bank. So Roberg will take the lead. Sosi, Jones, Wygant, Height will be your top 5. So interesting. Like the cars that have been dominating this race so far are in turn really leading this pack here. So right now, though, Roberg going to try to kind of flex his muscle now that the strategy's played out. So, and we just see how this plays out with when we go green, we will have, give or take, 30 laps to go on the stage, maybe plus or minus a lap. Obviously, a green flag pit stop looms for this field, but we've had a couple times in HTL history where we've seen these plate races go caution-free. It could happen again if need be. We may see it. The crystal ball doesn't predict it as well as you would say, but it's possible, and if in turn that happens, that final pit stop could be the money stop.
Anything can happen at this place. It's all about management. It's all about timing, and it's all about being the driver in the right place at the right time. Josh Arnold given an end of longest line penalty for this restart. Hunter Peach also given a penalty by a race control, but he was able to plead his case successfully, and he will have that cleared, and he will restart where he was on track. The drivers waiting to get a wave around include the 33 of Gaiman, the 28 of Boone, the 93 of Trout. All 3 of those should get the wave around this time by, as they will yield the way to Martin Roberg, the 35, who, by working a little bit of backward strategy, now has a shot to not only lead some laps, but win the race.
Yeah, this has worked out a treat for Roberg, using that strategy to his advantage, going long there and saving, allowed him the opportunity to make this work. Only driver to try it. So we'll see if it works out. Roberg, again, hungry for a win. Has had a lot of top 5s this year. Has had some good finishes. Really trying to find that way to victory lane for a driver that's only debuted in the series. a couple weeks ago. I believe it was at Charlotte, or maybe the race before Charlotte, that he made his debut here in HTL. But right now, it's Roberg and Sosi, row 1, Jones, Wygant, row 2, Height, Reynolds, row 3, Swatsworth, Meredith, row 4, Danny Thompson, your first 5 rows here.
But Martin Roberg, we've seen as a sub for several different teams, now running the 35, will be your leader when we go back to Green Flag Racing. Josh Susi, who's no stranger to winning, is up front. Then there's a 00 Pacey Wygant, who's had incredible pace all race long. This could be the lead pack you definitely want to see to do some competitive racing. Other notables, Tommy Reynolds in 6th, Caitlin Height in 5th, Chad Swatsworth goes up in position number 7, Zach Meredith in position number 8, the 27 of Selena Thompson rounding out your top 9. I believe that'll be the 29 of Alfred Denny rounding out your top 10.
It is Alfred Denny. Again, we talked about in the pre-race, Denny, longest win, not the longest winless streak, but the longest winless drought, like not having a win at all, currently topping out 84 races. He along on that list, along with, I believe it was Boone, being the other one in turn trying to find their way to victory lane for the first time in HDL history for either. We'll see how this plays out in the final stage. Talladega, a track that can make dreams or break them. We'll see how this final stage entails as the pace car gets ready to pull on off.
Pace car makes a hard right turn down pit road, left turn down pit road, and now the field will be in command of the 35 of Martin Roberg. As soon as they enter the restart zone, Martin Roberg has a chance to lead this race in earnest. Green flag flies, and Roberg immediately gets a shove from the 19 of Byron Jones. The 81 also getting a slow start comparative to the 00. We are back to green flag racing at Talladega.
And as we enter the final stage here on lap number 1, it's going to be similar to what we saw for the first stage here. Pacey Wygant looking poised to lead this lap as they quickly dispose of Joshua Sosi there on that low line. Hearing some interesting conversation on the radio. Gaiman and Shrout both electing to come in here. Obviously, I think both were at least a lap down here, so trying maybe the ultimate strategy choice here to try to roll the dice in case things go sour for some other cars.
Very well. They're also the drivers who took the wave around too, so they have nothing to lose at this point. Try anything. If you know you're in the back of the field, you try anything. You try to figure out what can work best out here, and if they think that could work for them, a caution flag can change the entire complexion of this race for them. Meanwhile, up front, Pacey Wygant gets the big run around the 81 of Susi, and now he's going to lead the field. Tommy Reynolds, your Daytona winner, in 2nd. Zachary Meredith 3rd. Chad Swatsworth 4th. And Mark Parker's now your top 5. Several drivers on the low line, led by Tommy Withers in the 23. Alfred Denny down there as well. Josh Sosi, Caitlin Height, the 27 of Selena Thompson. Now team dynamics are coming into play.
Yeah, I saw Withers make a big move to the low side there. Caught my eye. Now Parker's jumping to the low line as well to make a move. Usually that car operated by another car there. But going low as well, that 94, it is becoming a train on that low side, and it's a lane you may want to be in. It's risky, though, is if that line doesn't get going, you kind of get the blame game for that. But right now, Pendel going to have that charge on that low line. Sorry, Parkhurst going to be on that low line, trying to take this lead and lead a lap in that Mountain Dew Baja machine. Is able to side-by-side coming through the tri-oval here.
Tough bump between the 00 and the 11. It looks like the 11 trying to give a little shove to the 00. Didn't work out very well, but they're able to straighten it out and get back going the right way. That middle lane has been the fastest way around the track so far as Wygant and Reynolds continue to show the way. Now some drivers trying to test out the very high side. The 18 of Swatsworth wants some help. Lilac Zier is going to join that high side. The 05 is going to join the high side as well. And now here comes the 99 of, I believe, Elias Flores is going to try the high line. 3 lines of racing up front.
Yeah, that's right about mid-pack there. You can see it on camera, and this is really getting a little bit sketchy if you're in that middle pack. This is where the danger zone can happen. Usually, you don't see Rex up front. You usually don't see him behind. You see him right in the sweet spot where these cars are going 3 wide, but they're trying what they can to see what they can get if case push comes to shove here late on to try to get a run here. But right now, it's still Wygant leading the way up front. But you can see right now Clavet maybe trying to make a second lane happen here along with the 9 of Stoltz.
Clavet and Stoltz will lead the high line now as 18 of Swatsworth gets back into that middle groove. Also on the high line, the 50, the 05, the 99, and the 4 of Apperson. All in that group. Martin Roberg, who was your leader, is now back all the way in, I believe, position number 15, 16 in the 35 machine. He's currently scored 16th, but he's going to try the high line as well. But however, nobody can catch up to the 00 of Wygant.
Yeah, right now Wygant flexing his muscle here, and you kind of saw in that shot there, both the 00 and the 17 kind of left their dance part of the 19 at the altar there as he got stuck in that middle groove, and now there's a couple cars between them. So overall, though, showing that friendships may not be permanent here as we've hit 25 laps to go. Wygant really trying to break that plate curse, but Reynolds trying at least maybe sweep 2 out of the 3 plate tracks here, currently sitting in second. And then Dean Clavet, remember, he had the story to Atlanta where he and Peach were fighting hard for the win, and Clavet ended up getting slightly turned there. Obviously, disagreement between the two of them. Clavet maybe looking to right the wrongs and find his way to victory lane for the Canadian on that low side. And it's pure race here. About 3 cars back there with Clavet, Stoltz, and Zier, I believe that is.
The 00, the 11, 17, and 9, all leading in that middle lane. The 90 Clavet leading the low line. The 50 of Livex Zier leading the high line. And so far, not a ton of movement between these two drivers. In fact, the high line's starting to wither off as the 50 just can't get any help. Only has 4 cars following, or 5 cars following her on that high side. Not enough to get the full train going and really catch up to the 00.
Yeah, even though the pack may be withering off a little bit, you can see also another car withering off is Tommy Withers. He was really withering off that 94 machine. But right now you can see up front, you can see that middle groove, maybe thinking about going high here, but you can see one of those cars jump below. That's a 9 Ascent Racing machine to Josh Schultz, obviously filling in on a part-time basis here, not really looking for anything other than maybe getting that car in the Owners' Championship, and in turn, getting a check flag for himself. He will lead the low line with Clavet in tow. Strange situations make strange bedfellows, as that 9's looking to lead his first lap of the day.
2 by 2, they come through the restart zone to the start-finish line, and the 9 should be officially scored your leader on lap number 71. He is officially scored your leader on lap number 71. So they will continue now to fight side by side, tooth and nail, hammer and tong, through turns number 1 and 2. Still anybody's race up front.
Chance to catch some traffic here. You can see on the shot there, Trout and Gaiman right now going to get possibly caught here in maybe next lap or 2. And this could be a bit of a bottlenecking of either the inside or outside lines. Right now, though, Wygant and Reynolds working together like peanut butter and jelly as they are still lockstep right now. But remember, we have a green flag pit stop possibly on the horizon here. Sooner rather than later, we could probably see it with the next 10 laps here. So right now, the question is, when that does open, if we don't get a caution first, who will be the driver that blinks? Because usually the car that blinks first is the most successful. So we'll have to make note of who the first one in this kind of major contingency is that elects to pit.
Fuel cell is about 19 laps on these cars, so they will have to come down. The question is, when do they come down? How do you time it? And more importantly, who do you go with to make that timing work? Wygant continues to lead with the help of Reynolds, Meredith and company. Josh Stoltz leading the inside lane. The high line, nowhere to be found, has disbanded, and now the low line is the place to be. More drivers low than high, but the 9 just cannot get the horsepower to catch up to the 00 or the 11.
And this is a thing where drivers may be strong at pushing, better at receiving, and this could be a point where the 9, hey, you may have to admit your goose is kind of cooked here. Right now, it's still working, so I wouldn't be hands up, but if they keep continuing to lose momentum here to a pack of maybe 5, 6 cars, you may have to roll the dice and say, hey, look, 9, you're not doing it. Let's rotate, let's shuffle our deck. Let's make a bullpen switch here. And it's hard to say that, but at the same point, you don't want to be leading a train, then the 17 jumps down, and you're already out of contention. So overall, though, you may see if that 9 does not get 4 like Clavet right now, maybe thinking about disposing of them and saying, hey, we got to try something different here.
Nine starting to fall back even further throughout the field. He will drop back to, I believe, position number 6, position number 7, as the middle line continues to be the fastest way around the track. Wygent leading that conga line up in the between the dotted yellow, the dotted white lines throughout this field. So that's definitely the place to be right now if you want to get around in the fastest way possible and try to make some laps. Nobody has made their thrown the hand out. Nobody's coming down pit road just yet. Actually, I take it back. The Boone, Josh Arnold, Bianca Constantino are way back in the field. They may have come down pit road a little bit early.
Looking at that right now, they have not made their pit stop, so it looks like
Okay.
they just lost touch of the draft here. And we'll see right now, let's see if there's any damage or anything. It looks like they just lost touch, and they are just kind of in a no man's land, just hoping something comes out and plays in their favor. But right now, again, pretty racy towards the front. There you can see Gaiman and Trout. They'll get disposed of that high side. They took the wave around. Maybe we're hoping for some quick chaos, but they couldn't just get it done. Looking at the race summary right now, 20 laps to go, 2 cautions, 4 caution laps, 18 lead changes. So obviously we had a lot of chaos, but right now cars pitting at least 3 rows back here. You're going to see at least a big train. Alfred Denny will lead the train off with Sosi and a few others. So it is pit stop time in the Ultra here. They were the first to pit here. Lady Liberty, Valkyrie kind of combination here, along with a few others. We'll see how it plays out, and maybe this could be the move that gets Lady Liberty another victory here.
Lady Liberty looking for their 3rd consecutive victory in the HTL Cup Series. It's a team-ordered stop. Everybody coming to the attention of their crew, and it will be fuel only. Splash and go for all these drivers down here to get back on track and catch up with the rest of the field. So that throws a little bit of caution into this whole thing. Throws a little monkey wrench in. Now that you know that one of the fastest teams have come in, when do you make that move, and when do you decide to follow them down pit road? It's only a matter of time now, not if, but how.
Yeah, it's going to be a question. Again, if a caution comes out, that's going to play in the hand of the cars that just pitted. As they are firmly on the lead lap, they would cycle to the lead. The only advantage of going long is if we get a green-white checkered or a late caution, it could in turn, even though this max 3 attempts, you may need that extra fuel that you may not get pitting this early trying to shortchange it. So going long has at least that benefit if we get a late caution. If it stays green, though, it could be a bit detrimental. We'll see how it plays. Right now, another car going to go lap down. That's Matthew Boone. You can see Wygent trying to get a choice there, get a little extra tow there. Then you can see about 3 cars deep. Peach right now, currently now the car on the low line. Not bad for a car that ran out of fuel not too long ago, even though I don't think he is for position, but he's just trying to run it out here to try to make something happen.
Up front, no more. The leaders are not going to pit this time by. In the middle of the mix, it looks like those group are not going to pit as well. So nobody coming to the attention of their crews just yet. They continue to run behind the 00 of Pacey Wygent, Reynolds, Meredith, Jones, and by Blowers now your top 5. And again, I'm curious, when is 00 going to make that move? The longer he stays out in track, yes, the more it benefits him, but the less time he has to catch up to the Lady Liberty contingency.
Yeah, that it's going to be big game here, and I think once you see him pit, you're going to see everyone else come down too. He showed his hand, and he is the leader. He is the one that's going to make the shots, and if he makes a call, everyone will say how high. We'll see if the hand's out the window this time by. Considering he's right in the middle groove, it is not pit stop time yet for him. Nay, for most of this field, they will pet out another lap. A little bit further back, seeing Dean Clavis and Mark Parker's on that high line. They're going to get some help there by that stepping stone machine that will also jump to the high side. So that high line's starting to get a little bit of momentum here. Maybe trying to make a bit of an uprising here.
No changes up front. The only change right now in the group is Dean Clavette, the 90, getting a little bit of help from the 94 and the 50. They're going to try to make something work on the high side, see if they can get a little bit more momentum going up next to the wall, and so far it is working. Clavette is leading a small contingency of rebels, including the 50, the 35, the 18 now up top, the 05 up top, the 20, the 28 up top as well. Now we have a contingency going up front as your leaders come down pit road.
Yeah, that is pit stop time for the leaders. Kind of saw the call there. You can see him coming in. Wygent will be in. Looks like a few drivers complained there was really no calls there, maybe trying to hide the hand, but that is going to be pit stops, final pit stops. Again, don't want to speed, don't want to make your mistake here now. We'll see if it's fuel only or not. The next question obviously is, we saw that second pack of Sosi, Thompson, Gibney, Height all come in, and the question mark is, where will they blend out in regard to this?
Five Blowers on pit road. Tommy Reynolds, Facey Wygen, Byron Jones, Zachary Meredith, Tommy Withers, Elias Flores all came to the attention of their crew that time by, and they will be back on the road. No tires, just strictly a fuel-only stop. Dean Clavette now your leader, and he's going to elect to come down pit road this time by as well. Parkhurst will come down. Lilac Zier, Roberg, Chance Wadsworth, James Wright, Josh Stoltz, Louis Peltier Sharp, Justin Hall, Caleb Carter. This is the wholesale stop.
This is basically everyone except for two cars. Smeal and Sienna are the only two that elected to stay out, and they're in this little contingency right here, so they will go as long as they can. More importantly, though, we were kind of keeping an eye for these pit stops. Here's Reynolds, here's Wygen. They came out well ahead of that second contingency here that consisted of DeMonte Dotson, Caitlin Height, and the rest. There they are right now. So it's a bit fractured, but they should all find their way back to the promised land here eventually. But it's going to be interesting how this plays. Here's obviously the main pack coming off the pit lane right now, led off by Pendel. The question is, how quick will Wygen catch?
That is the $64,000 question, as now you see the 44 of Smeal, the 96 of Sienna, teammates at Arrowhead. They're going to continue to run. They almost went down pit road. Looks like they tried to fake out everybody, but they're going to continue to run, and they're going to run at with the tail end of the lead lap right now. They're going to run in the draft of Trout, Gaiman, Hunter Peach, and Matthew Boone. All at the very end of the lead lap as the 44 and 96 are your current leaders. So we'll have to see exactly when those two want to come down, how they want to come down, and more importantly, how will that affect strategy.
Yeah, I was focusing on that pack there while you were talking about the leaders. We were focusing on the blend line there, how these cars are going to play out. Parkhurst, Roberg, Swadsworth came out with a little bit of a cushion to the next big group, but you can see right there the 9's contingency along with Wygen. They all got caught, and now it's game on as Reynolds pushes Clavitt out of his line. He's like, I want to work with Wygen. You go to the back of the line.
And the jockeying now continues. The 11 and 00 also make contact. The 19 and 90. 19 gets sideways, shucks around, collects the Dotson, collects some other drivers. Caution should come out for this. No caution yet as Selena Thompson goes skating into the infield.
Yeah, car's all still good. No caution. We saw similar wrecks before. Byron Jones obviously not going to be thrilled with that as he's got some heavy damage on his number 19. He feels the same thing Blowers and Gaiman saw as he's got some damage as well. So a lot of kind of anger here as that's played out. And now we have a caution. Looks like it's a little bit further up. Looks like it's the 4 of Apperson. He's gotten a second incident as well. So that will neutralize the field. Sharp also having torn up as well.
I believe the 31 of Dotson is involved in this one. This is going to be involved in the 31 of DeMonte Dotson, who was trying to run on that high line, didn't have the momentum, and the 71 and 4 just end up plowing into the back of the 31. The 05 gets caught up in that as well.
So we'll take a look here right now. You can see Sharp very torn up. I'm going to see if we can find the replay here real fast. So we're going to pull back to the first incident with Byron Jones here, and you can see, we'll see what exactly happened with them, and then we'll play it up what happened with Sharp and Dotson. So we're going to play it out here, play it just a little bit further back, keep an eye on that 19. You can see how already a bad bump with Reynolds and Wygen causes maybe this little bit of this conga line effect. So you can see right there, 3 wide, 2 get stuck together, Clavitt gets sent in the hall, right up the road, Dotson big lick. But other than that, though, for the most part, other than Apperson losing a point, you can see Selena Thompson get sent way wide, but everyone keeps it pointing in the right direction, at least for what we thought could have been the first caution.
Now the first caution officially comes out with that 31 of DeMonte Dotson. Heavy right side damage on the 31. Hits the wall again into turns 3 and 4. And I don't know where the 71 is going. Trying to probably shoot the gap on the high side there, but nowhere to go. The 71, poor decision making. And that'll collect her teammate, the 05 of James Wright, the stepping stone. And a couple others as well, including the 31 of Dotson. So caution flag out for the first time tonight due to that incident with the 71.
Yeah, it's a very weird incident because iRacing did not deem any of those crashes, so we kind of had to pull that back to find it as quick as we could. We'll see if we can take one look at this real fast as well, riding on board with Pelletier Sharp here in the 71, because she obviously had a big little moment there trying to avoid it. So we'll take a quick look here, and you'll see right now, riding down the backstretch here, obviously the first incident has already occurred, and you're going to see Dotson got some damage from that incident with Jones, maybe just trying to hang on here to find a way down. And you can see Sharp kind of swerving a little bit. Dotson Yeah, that's an odd spot because Dotson came down just a bit. Sharp thought to go high, thinking Dotson was going to hold the middle. Dotson, maybe not being able to control that machine, went back high and ended up giving some heavy damage to Pelletier Sharp and damage to good 71 here. But luckily, faster pairs, at least for some of these drivers, they still have. So they should be able to fix it up here.
So this will change the complexion of the race for everybody involved. This will definitely shake up exactly where and how everyone goes. And it'll be interesting to see who's going to come down pit road this time by. Mark Parkhurst is your leader. The 94 Parkhurst is your leader. We're second. Shats Wadsworth third. Tony Reynolds fourth. And Pacey Wygant round out your top five. This group should be good to go. They won't need any more service. So that should open the door for some of these drivers who have not come down yet to still have a competitive race amongst themselves.
Yeah, and in turn, let's look at this top 10 for a minute. Drivers that could use victories, maybe hungry for wins. We talked about Parkhurst. He's kind of hungry right now. Roberg, very hungry as well. Swatsworth, talked about in the pre-race. He considers this his best chance to win remaining in the season, maybe here in Daytona. This seems like the race he wants to win. Reynolds, obviously won the 500. Love a second win to get Arrowhead its second victory as a team. Well, not as a team, but in this season. Soltz filling in part-time. Clavitt, another driver that could really use a win along with Meredith to avoid the kind of pain that he has been on the bubble line. And then Zier Withers, no win so yet for either of them. So in this top 10, only Reynolds and Wygant have found victory lane this season. The rest of the 8 have yet to find it. So this could be the, maybe not the Hail Mary throw, that would be more for Daytona, but the quarter Hail Mary throw for one of these drivers to bless them with a playoff spot if they can find their way to victory lane.
Caleb Eichler will come down pit road, and I believe only a handful of drivers will also come down with him. So right now, the lead will go back to Parkhurst, Roberg second, Swatsworth third, Reynolds fourth, and Pacey Wygant your top 5. This is going to be a very talented group up front, especially when you consider Wygant has one of the fastest cars on the track tonight. It seems like nobody can catch him as we continue to run under the caution flag. 1 to go this time by. We'll go back live to lap 87, which puts us less than 10 to go.
Yeah, we are about to be 9 laps to go here, which can go in a blink of an eye if you're not careful. First true caution we had tonight as well. A couple close incidents you could say we had shaves that may have been cautions, but this is the first true caution based on a wreck that we have seen tonight. But the field is going to reset with Parkhurst on the high side, Roberg on the low side for row 1, then Reynolds, Swatsworth in row 2, Stoltz, Wygant, row 3, Meredith, Clavitt, row 4, Zier, Withers, your first 5 rows. And looking at it, 2 Arrowhead cars in that second line here. They can get linked together. They could be a dangerous threat.
A lot of dangerous threats on the field right now, and a lot of drivers hungry for that first win. If nothing else, to prove to themselves, I can still be competitive in this very, very competitive league. Martin Roberg, though, seems to have the right call at the right times. He still finds himself back in position number 1. The super sub looking to maybe steal a win from the rest of the field right there. But I know there's a lot of great drivers we've seen all night. Reynolds, Swatsworth, Pacey Wygant, Zach Meredith, all looking to steal that win for themselves, and it could be a situation where the 35 may not have enough friends to make it work.
Thing is, with Roberg in the top 30 points, if he does find a way to victory, he would give himself a playoff spot. So that is more incentive for him to keep climbing. Obviously, Constantine has a win, not yet to get in the top 30, so that win does not count yet. But if she gets in, that could buy another driver to have a moment in the sun as well. Lights, pace car going to come on, make the lonesome trip down pit lane here. When we go green, we're going to have 8 laps to go. Restart going to be on the control of Parkhurst as we... Obviously, it's going to be a long way before we get to the restart zone here. Don't want to spin the tires. Do not want to make a mistake. In the Geico restart zone now. Green flag is out with 8 laps to go. Good launch on the high side as Parkhurst and Reynolds going to look clear to jump down low.
Roberg held off until the green flag flew down there, and that's going to bunch up that low line quite a bit. Several drivers look like they are frustrated with the 35, either trying to push him up front or get him out of the way. Meanwhile, the 94 and 11 all over each other's back bumper. 2 lines going around. 18 now goes around, collects the 99. The 17, the 90 involved. Several cars involved, and we're gonna say green.
Yeah, no caution yet. Obviously, again, 2 cars there spinning. No caution called. Few pieces of debris. But up front, it's the Roberg show. And this has actually caused major separation here between the top 4 as they've now going to get in tow here. And then you got both Meredith, but look at Zachary Meredith's front end. That thing is torn up a treat. That is going to be a major threat for him to try to push here.
Only 2 cars involved in that, or heavily involved in that. It's the 94 and the 18. They will fall back in the field. Meanwhile, back up front, they continue to fight. Roberg is now your leader, the 11, right behind him.
This is a good chance you can make a case. This is going to be a fight between these 4 cars, maybe 5 if Wygen can get the tow rope out here. As he's about 6/10 behind here. Then you can see how racy it is for that second pack. Meredith's damage obviously hurting him a treat. He is now fallen and got swarmed by the second pack. But right now, if you're in the second groove, you have to get linked together. Your main prize is ticking away. You are losing time ham over fist. You're now down to 2.5 seconds and falling to Roberg, Reynolds, Height, and Schultz. So right now you have to settle it out, get it together, and try to give yourself a chance to win this race. But right now they are still fighting with Withers leading that train as up front it is Roberg, Reynolds, Height, Schultz looking to make this a fight between themselves. 6 laps to go.
Pacey Wygen needs some help. He needs to get the draft with him. He's got that second draft now coming. The cavalry has arrived, and the 23 will give the shove to the 00 Pacey Wygen. Austin Mongold in that mix as well. Kevin Gibney, Jonathan Smeal, Alfred Denny now all have new life as they try to dispatch in 91. The problem is, though, they've got to stay in line. They've got to work together. Otherwise, the group of 4 is going to drive away with this race. Get in line, guys. Work together. The only way you're going to win is through the draft.
Thing is, no honor among thieves. Everyone wants to be selfish late on. I don't think they got the memo. You saw Clavitt get a bad bunch, and now you can see they've separated their troops even more. Here's obviously the third pack that has now formed with Clavitt leading. So you got a gaggle of maybe like 10 cars in this pack here, and then you got the front 4 that are still nose to tail here. So I think right now their main goal is let's just race hard as we can. If someone wrecks, we get recycled. That's a horrible thing to think about. But that's maybe their only chance they had to get caught back up because now the gap is 5 seconds between Roberg, Reynolds, Height, and Schultz and the rest. So overall, it's basically curtains. And in this pack, you got Reynolds has won a race this year. Height has won a race this year. Roberg, the super sub, and Schultz right now being the driver that's just here for the fun of it could maybe be the ultimate spoiler.
Kevin Gibney now leading that second draft as the caution flag comes out.
Yep, look at that car flipping. The 99 of Flores has flipped. That's the caution. You could even argue that is the big one. As you see multiple cars, you see another car turtle. That is Matthew Boone, who is going to have to basically get that thing flipped over in the pit lane as multiple cars have been involved in that incident here. And we'll take a look at that in just a second. There you can see warmed up Boone. You can see a few others torn up as well in that major wreck. And it is pure pandemonium. So let's take a look here at that incident that caused the yellow flag and see exactly what caused it. So here we're focusing on Denny as he was up leading the train along with Gibney. And let's see exactly what happened here. Maybe it's a little bit further back here. It's right around Withers' case. So we're going to go back a little bit, rewind just a tiny bit, and you're going to see it right now. 3 wide through the line here. And I think it's just going to be, bad hook there under 44 Smeal. And at that point, look at Boone riding the wall. Flores gets the flip, and multiple cars just nowhere to go as Boone basically went a whole half a corner on his roof.
Tough break. You got to appreciate, though, the safety of sim racing. If that was a real incident, we'd all be holding our breath right now. But the safety of sim racing with drivers driving from the comfort of their homes means nobody's in danger. Nobody's getting hurt, injured, and we'll be back to racing in just a second. So let's watch here. The 23 and 44 get connected, and that's going to bring them up in the rest of the field and cause the big one that I think all of us have been waiting for with bated breath. That's going to collect a lot of drivers involved, some drivers that were very competitive, including that 44 machine involved. So that's a very tough break, especially so late in the race.
I'm going to take one more look at this. Well, I want to obviously ride on board here with Matthew Boone. He had a wild wide in that situation. So we're going to watch Matthew Boone here, and we're going to go inside his cockpit, and we're just going to see the wild ride he had. Just look at that big lick blindside, and at that point, he's just turtled, and he doesn't know what way's right and wrong here. He's just hoping eventually the car will flip. And honestly, this would be a good game of guessing to try to figure out where he officially stopped. For those at home, he stopped right there about halfway just off of 4. So big ride for Boone, big lick, and that is going to really hurt his chances of getting back in this race.
So with the late caution flag coming out, we should go to a green-white checkered finish here. So what does that mean? We'll restart the restart race. We'll start with 2 to go. If the yellow flag comes out before the white flag, we'll stack them up and try one more time. With the white flag, if they do take the white flag after the first lap, then the next flag will finish the race wherever it may be. We'll have only 3 attempts after the crazy incident at Pocono. We'll only have 3 attempts at a green-white checkered finish from here on out. So Martin Roberg will have 1 of 3 attempts to try to win this race, but I think we might need all 3 tonight.
Yeah, well, at the very least, though, with the scars of Pocono still fresh in our mind, we're living warnings of why maybe unlimited green white checkers may not be a bad idea. Maybe a bad idea, I should say. But right now, though, I think we're at least maybe poised, maybe not to see it happen. But again, looking at this line, if you're Roberg, Reynolds, Height, and Schultz, you're basically like, it was going to be a fight between the 4 of us. One of us was going to take it. The other 3 were going to get nice spots. One of them was not going to get a podium interview. But right now, though, you basically kicked the hornet's nest. And now, let's again go through this top 10 real fast, list off some drivers. You got Gibney now re-gonned up. He's got a long winless streak. Thompson, top 5 with the longest win streak as well. Hunter Peach, obviously won at Atlanta. Byron Jones, he has yet to find victory lane yet. Lilacs here, Austin Mongold. Mongold, the driver, that's about, give or take, I think it was 15 back of the cut line coming in tonight. Didn't get any stage points, but getting a win would instantly make stage racing pointless for him for the most part for the rest of the season. So a lot of hungry drivers here looking to get a first win or find their way to victory lane. But we should officially get the 1 to go this time by Roberg, Reynolds. You're going to be your front line here. As it will be then Height, Schultz, row 2, Gibney, Thompson, row 3, Jones, Peach, row 4, Mongold, Zier, your first 5 rows.
So 1 more lap before we go to the green-white checkered finish. They'll have 3 attempts to end this race under their own power. Then it'll be to the powers that be. Roberg will start on the outside, and I caught him on his radio. He's telling his team he's a little scared right now. He's not exactly sure how to manage the rest of this race. All he knows is he has 2 laps to go. If you are a betting man, Kevin, as you know I am, are you taking Roberg? You taking the rest of the field?
Rest of the field, easy. We've seen throughout these days the car that usually leads to the white flag doesn't lead back, and I'm still taking that if Roberg takes it here with 2 to go. I don't like the odds he brings back. We just saw under the last incident where we saw the stack up where the car on the inside line ended up getting turned, taking swats with them, and they both fell back. So if I'm a betting man right now, I'm taking the field here. I just don't like the odds. Neither Roberg will take this back. Even Reynolds, I feel like you got your best chance of anyone row 2 on back here.
It's going to be a very, very interesting restart. My eyes are on the 11 of Tommy Reynolds. He won at Daytona. He wants to win another plate race before the regular season is over. Then you've got the 3 of Caitlin Height, who's been on fire this entire all season, throughout the second half of the season. So she could be very easily primed to take this one away. The 00 of Pacey Wygant right now restarting all the way back in 23rd. So he might be taken out of contention. But 2 laps to go, anything can happen.
Yeah, we get a couple green white checkers. Who knows? He could be cycled back up inside the top 10. Personally, I like to see that 27 get in victory lane because seeing a minor league sports team victory machine finding its way to victory lane always warms my heart. Support local sports if you can. Pace car going to take the lonesome trip down pit lane, and we are going to be on the control of, I believe it will be Roberg.
Roberg electing to start high for the first time tonight. He will come to the restart zone. Will he wait for the green flag to come out, or will he start when he wants to? He will wait for the green flag, stacks him up a little bit, and he is down and away. One of 2 laps left to go. 2-lap dash for the cash. Reynolds on the low side. Roberg on the high side. Will the high side continue to be the fastest way around the track?
We'll have to wait and see on that one, but you can look how much the 3 is pushing that 11, telling it you need to go, and you need to go like it's no one's business. Low line charging high. Roberg been swallowed up here at least a little bit right now. You can see other cars. Jones looking to try to change out pack here. Going to make it 3-1. Going to leave that car of the 35 in the sucker hole, possibly. We'll see if they can jump out now that Jones leads that third lane. You can even see Carmen Sienna trying to get as much as she can as they come off of 3 and 4 right now. Reynolds leads the way. It's going to be a lone road back to the white flag. We'll see if they get there.
So far, no incident, but anything can change in the blink of an eye here. 11 down low has the fastest way around, but Byron Jones doing everything he can to catch up. Austin Mongold pushing him. It's 1 to go at this point. Next flag will end the race.
Jones trying to push Mongold. He will be the one on the high charge here. Right now, it's still Reynolds and Height trying to make it a race between themselves. Height really doing whatever she can to push right there. There goes Roberg in the middle groove. He's getting the push ever-loving you-know-what by the 9. It's going to be a straight shot down the back stretch. We'll see if any car can pull out, though. More cars. Reynolds going to charge way high. Cars spinning right now in the 4 shot. There goes Peach. Big wreck right now, but it's still Reynolds up front with Roberg in turn.
So Rober, right now, the 11 continues to lead. Will the 11 take the race for the second time in a row? That big one causing a little bit of communication issues, but Reynolds in front of Roberg. And Reynolds will win here. Almost? Yes, he does. He wins at Talladega, his second plate race victory.
Roberg will get second. Height will get third. Schultz will get fourth. So basically, it was the 1, 2, 3, 4 like we saw before the caution came out. They kept it the top 4 right there. Thompson a good top 5 there. Sienna with a good 7th there. But you can see right now as we go a little bit further back, Hunter Peach, he is basically gone. Rest of the cars popping in. Smeal destroyed. Jones destroyed. Henderson destroyed as well. Meredith still heavily wounded. So a lot of good cars in that last incident take damage. But Tommy Reynolds, your race winner right now, as he has taken it back to back for Arrowhead right now. And he has been the strongest car at that contingency, and he could be a threat when it comes to playoff times. You can see a discarded carcass there on the low side, I believe. That is James Wright. But you can see all the Arrowhead cars showing love to Tommy Reynolds.
I don't know if we want to go back and take a look at that big one more time, but it starts all with the 20 and the 50 making bad contact with each other, and that just causes a chain effect right through the rest of the field. But it's all good right now because the boss lady is going to escort her driver to the start-finish line and let him collect that checkered flag. So Tommy Reynolds, 2 for 2 on plate races. He is your winner tonight at Talladega.
And we'll see him burn it down here in a second. Then we'll probably take a look at that big one real fast as well, and then we'll take a look at the results. But there, obviously now with the actual correct paint scheme he won in, is obviously we're having a bit of some technical difficulties getting a scheme load, but instead of being in the Coke machine, he's in the target machine. But regardless of what it is, it's provided him great success in that number 11. He's going to burn it probably till the engine goes.
As well he should. He's earned this race. He's worked his way through the field, and he was able to get it done. So congratulations to Tommy Reynolds and everybody on this field for surviving this race. A good win for Tommy Reynolds, a good win to get Arrowhead's momentum back going after what's been a very difficult season for that team.
And it's basically, again, even though a lot of drivers have some problems, other drivers, it's just a reprieve and a smile all around the Arrowhead garage when its car can find victory lane, especially with that number having so much success last season with Caitlin Height piloting it. Now Reynolds going to try to take that mantle and run it just to the same success. 1 for 1 in now that number 11 for him driving it.
That didn't happen.
Let's go ahead and take a look at your unofficial fitness standings as they cross the start-finish line. It will be the 11 of Reynolds, your winner here at Talladega. Martin Roberg, who started on the lead with 2 to go in second. Caitlin Height third. Josh Stoltz fourth. Selena Thompson gets a big top 5 on the night. Kevin Gibney, Carmen Sienna, Lily Peltier Sharp, Joshua Susie, and Lilac Zier round out your top 10.
Yeah, moving further down, Odie with a good drive for a privateer in 11th. Wygent got it back up to 12th. Austin Mongol gets 13th. Constantine to 14th. Then you're getting into the cars that got involved in that late wreck there with Swatsworth 15th, Gaiman 16th, Meredith 17th, Henderson 18th, Byron Jones 19th, and John DeSmeal, even though still damaged, got back to P20. Dean Clavitt 21st, and Hunter Peach, the last of the cars that were able to limp it home under the damage in 22nd. Then David Smeal, James Wright, Mark Parkhurst 23rd to 25th, all could not make it back to the line with the damage. Same thing with Withers and Boone, Trout, and Dustin Hall, 26th to 30th, all with one lapse of damage as well. Same thing with Dotson and Apperson. So you just see how many cars got taken out in that last wreck. 31st and 32nd for both of them. Then you got Gary Donaldson in 33rd, Alfred Denny in 34th, Caleb Eichler in 35th, Josh Arnold 36th, Bobby Blowers in 37th, and Elias Flores in 38th. And something you don't usually see at Talladega up until the last wreck there, before the last wreck was 6 to go, 38 of 38 cars were still running in this race. Obviously, a handful couldn't make it to the end, but still a very impressive feat around these high banks at Talladega.
Tommy Reynolds, your winner here at Talladega. Let's go ahead and talk to him, Kevin Young. He's all yours.
All right, in victory lane here with the number 11 of Tommy Reynolds. First of all, you're probably very excited with what happened here, and we got to very start at the beginning of what happened. Let's go through the beginning of this race because you were obviously in a mindset of not drifting back. So what made you be in the mindset you want to stay the front and just attack hard as you can?
We as a team kind of decided like what the middle point was of where we were gonna fall back and go forward. So me and Chad kind of were moving forward, and then Carmen and Smeal didn't qualify as well, so they were gonna stay at the back. But kind of the goal was good stage points. I knew this is a track I was kind of decent at, so yeah, I don't know. A bit of a shamble before the race too. Had to scramble a paint scheme together last minute. Sorry about that. But yeah, and then the stages kind of fell decently. I think I got both stage points there, so I'll take that as well. But yeah, some big crashes that we had to avoid. There was that huge one. I got to go back and look at it. I'm not sure if that was a caution or not. I'm not sure how it wasn't. It was pretty big, but that's kind of what had the race fall into my lap. I kind of knew if I could get up there on a good restart and have somebody like Katie behind me pushing me, I knew I would have a chance. So, yeah.
Moving on, obviously we saw first, second stage play out. Then was about 6 laps, like before that last caution came out, right before we saw that restart after the third caution of the night. You saw a bit of a separation between you, Height, this 9 car of Stoltz and Rauberg. So take us through, if that stayed green, what was kind of be your thoughts there if you were second line? Do you have any exit strategies if we saw that 4-car contingency fight for the finish line?
It really depended on when Caitlin made her move. If she made it going into 3, I figured maybe I have a chance. It depends on how well Josh pushes her. But I figured even if she makes the move into 3, she has to have a pretty big run. And if I keep pushing Martin, that run will kind of fall off. So my plan was to sit behind Martin, basically coming to the tri-oval and try and fake him out in some way. But obviously that never arose.
Then obviously we'll take it through. We obviously triggered a green-white checkered there, and obviously you were in the first line there, and we saw you run that low line. So I guess take us through those last 2 laps there from your perspective on that green-white checkered.
Yeah, I saw Martin take the outside, and I was kind of in my head. I was like, man, all right, well, I guess this is it. We'll see where we finish. But yeah, and then maybe Katie didn't time it right, or I didn't get the greatest start in the world. Something happened there, just a mistimed, I guess, and weren't able to get a good run. And then it seemed like me pushing up that outside lane a little bit helped. And then as soon as I felt like the run had stalled out, I switched down to the bottom, and Katie followed me, obviously. And then down the backstretch, I had a little bit of a gap, but I saw her trying to line it up and take the lead. So I was tentative on the gas. And then going into the 3, or coming out of 4, she tried to line it up again. And I was like, oh, all right, well, now I wasn't ready for that. So now I thought she was going to take it, but Martin was right to her outside, so she couldn't have taken it if she wanted to. So that's what kind of helped me. But yeah, I don't know. And then out of 4, as soon as I didn't see the wreck. Apparently it was pretty big, but I saw that Martin was maybe a car length and a half back, and I knew I had it won. I just had to aero block him. It didn't really matter how close the car behind was, because that car behind was going to try and pass him. So as long as I could aero block him and just be in front of them coming to the line, I would have won. So Yeah.
Quickly, one more question as well. Quickly, in regards, obviously you've broken up the domination of Lady Liberty, and now Arrowhead's found their way back to victory lane. Next week being Rockingham, what's your odds that maybe you can get a third win for this team going into next week?
I hate Rockingham with a passion, so I'm gonna say a low 5% maybe. I for some reason I no matter what car it is, I can't seem to run well there. So I'm not sure what track after that, but maybe I guarantee you it's a better chance at that next track than it is at Rockingham.
To answer your question, that is Daytona Road Course. So we'll see if maybe you are a little bit better at left and right. So definitely it could work out. Obviously though, this is the time of the portion of the show, the ABN tradition. If there's anyone you want to thank, family, friends, sponsors, whatever, floor is yours. Take it away.
Obviously, thank you guys. Obviously, always putting on an awesome broadcast. I caught a little bit of qualifying there, but got a little busy. So the actual race portion, but yeah, awesome job as always. Thanks to Carmen for letting me drive her expensive toys around, and yeah.
Well, we've heard the price of the charter, so definitely they are very expensive toys. But you take care, Tommy. You have a good rest of your week, and hopefully we talk before the season ends.
Yeah, thank you. It's been a little too long without talking to you, so hope to see you soon.
And I hope to see you soon as well. And I think Joe has found our second place driver here, and let's hear their thoughts now.
Martin Roberg finishes with a big second place finish. And Martin, at a track like this, when you don't have teammates to work on, it is an accomplishment to get up, get up to the front of the pack, let alone finish second. What was your secret? How were you able to make that move? To make that set of moves, I should say.
Well, I guess it really came down to stage 2, just staying out, running it long, being able to win the race off a pit road. Although I kind of ended up losing that track position anyway from a bad restart, but just kind of managing when to be aggressive, when to not be aggressive, trying to get people to think, if I don't have a teammate with me at the end of the race, who should I work with? And trying to get myself onto that list, which I think ended up working out for me. For me in the end, just unfortunately I was blinking, so I couldn't get pushed anymore. But yeah, very very solid run, especially with not having any teammates in this race. So yeah,
Going into this race, it had to be a little bit intimidating, not knowing that you don't have any teammates, knowing that you're running all alone for Pride. Were you able to make some friends out there? Were you able to get that push when you needed it? Were you able to get that run when it counted most, or do you feel like you did this all basically on your own?
I wouldn't say I did it all by myself. I mean, I I can't remember who helped me now, which makes it sound stupid and makes it sound like I did do it by myself. But there were a lot of cars that I worked with throughout the race that were giving me solid pushes. Just even the cars that would let you ride in place instead of trying to shuffle you out. Like I think I think this result definitely comes down to being able to make allies despite not having any teammates. Having relationships that have been built up from the truck series certainly help, but at the end of the day, this is a different series, so they don't fully carry over.
Certainly, certainly. So, Martin, we've seen you in a couple races so far this season. We've seen you sub in for a couple drivers. We've seen you on your own. With a second place finish here tonight, what does the future look like for Martin Roberg? Are you going to continue to run as a privateer, or will we see you attached to a team in 2024 or
Um,
2025? I'd say.
I whatever happens. We're looking behind the scenes to get this at least to be a chartered entry, so we don't have to worry about a qualifying in. And I'm hoping with the momentum I've had, I think making the playoffs is possible, and I think making the playoffs would be a major step towards improving things for the upcoming season. So just kind of that's pretty much my goal for the rest of the season. I really wanted to win, obviously, so I wouldn't have to worry about points, but just keep on closing that points gap. Hopefully, get into the playoffs and get secure a full time ride for next season, however that may come.
And whatever that may look like, Martin, it's shout out time. Who makes it work for you?
Well, starting out with Casey Ellis, who is the one that has been fielding this car for the last few weeks, I would not have been able to race tonight or really the last few races without their help. I really appreciate it. They believe in me more than I believe in myself, and it has really helped me just get these starts in, build the confidence. So I'm very grateful for them. My teammates at Team Lily and our Orlando Outlaws in the Truck Series that worked with me tonight. Just communication, such as figuring out for qualifying, which helped me get to six. Yeah, just their help. Their help definitely, even though we didn't really get linked up together during the race, gave me this shot, and very appreciative of them.
Martin Roberg finishing second here tonight, looking to make a big splash, not only this season, but in 2025 to come. Kevin Young is caught up with our third place finisher, who is no stranger to ABN's broadcast booth lately, Caden Height.
Yeah, we've been talking to her a lot of late, and we'll continue that on. Obviously, Caitlin here in the booth. First of all, how are you?
Whew, it was quite eventful, but now it's sort of like, okay, I'm calming down now.
Well, that is good. Obviously, though, we got to go through the race here, real and a quick note. But obviously, we saw you again, kind of play the strategy. You wanted to move up front. We saw you making moves, and you are a specialty at carving through the field. So take us through kind of those first two stages and how you were just whittling your way through the field.
As far as the first stage, we were trying to develop a plan as far as the team was trying to develop a plan as to how we were going to play the pit strategy right, and then just sort of see where it falls. And in the first stage, we really played it well. But the pairing of Casey, Meredith, and Jones, they ended up getting to us at the very end there, so we weren't really able to close that one out. The second stage, I'm going to be honest, I don't really remember a whole lot of what happened there, but I still know that was a rather crazy finish at the end.
It was very chaotic. Obviously, moving on, we saw the first real cause coming night coming out around with 12 to go, and then we saw a 4-car breakaway. I asked Reynolds this question. I'll ask you the same question. If we saw that stay green between you, Reynolds, Roberg, and Schultz, what was the game plan going in those final laps?
At that point in time, I was more focused on, okay, I knew that we had the gap. We had the cars to really make it work. My first thought was just getting to the white flag, just so that we wouldn't get slowed down and bunched back up again. But that really didn't happen. Like I said, I was just trying to secure my running position, just sort of like how NordVPN secures your privacy online.
Gotta show the sponsors some love there. Definitely found a good segue there. Moving on though, going into the green-white checkered attempt, we saw you in a good spot there to make something happen. So take us through that last lap from your perspective, what you were trying to do to find a way to victory lane.
Oh, I was just trying to get right onto the bumper of Tommy there and just try and push ourselves up through to a point where I could be clear of the outside line, but I also wanted to keep, my team owner right behind me. So I don't know if the three of us could have actually broken away from that outside line. That would have been amazing, to where we could have just had the ability to switch lanes, like how NordVPN allows you to change which country your internet activity is on, just so that you can access whatever websites you're trying to access. But from that point, it was once I got that big old side suck from Martin going down the backstretch on the final lap, that was pretty much it. Reynolds was able to pull up to the high side, and at that point, for me, it was just sort of like, okay, the race is on for third, or maybe even staying in the top 5. It was, yeah, once those two got away, it was done, because I just kept getting pulled back on my right rear.
Obviously, real fast. Again, obviously, good season right now, going online right now, and in turn with Rockingham next week. Thoughts on Rockingham? Do you think it's a track we'll see you get another victory edged into your total right now?
I have no idea at this point. I kind of forget how Rockingham went last season, but I mean, as long as I'm still in the running at the end there, should be able to at least try and challenge.
Well, obviously, it is time where if you have to think any family, friends, sponsors, or shout any promo codes, now would be the time. So take it away, Caitlin. Let's hear what you got to say.
All right. Well, first and foremost, HTL admins, once again, for putting everything on the ABN broadcast team with both of you commentating and Kristina behind in the broadcast booth there, giving us all the pictures. Want to thank, obviously, NordVPN, who is the sponsor of my car today, which, of course, you can protect your privacy but from prying eyes with military-grade encryption. Want to thank Callie for giving me the paint, and Lexi and Emily and Kristina again, all the dolls back at the shop, and, of course, everybody that is in Lady Liberty and Val Freya for really sticking close with our game plan tonight.
Well, it's been great talking to you, Caitlin. Obviously, I feel like we talked through the end of the season, but if not, you take care. Have a good rest of your week.
All right, thanks, you too.
And that was our third finisher, Caitlin Hyatt. And we're going to send it up at Joe for his final thoughts.
What incredible race we saw tonight. What an incredible test of endurance we saw from all of these drivers. To have only one major wreck throughout the entire race shows the maturity of this group, the maturity of each of these drivers out here. And the fact is, when we get to the playoffs in 3 weeks' time, we are in 3 races time, I should say, before the All-Star race, we're going to have arguably the best of the class in HTL fighting for the championship. Great racing tonight, and a whole lot looking forward to here in the future. You've been watching ABN's live coverage of the HTL Cup Series at Talladega Superspeedway. That will conclude our evening. On behalf of my entire broadcast crew, my partner Kevin Young, our producer Chrissy Ryan, my name is Joe Cortez. We will see you in 1 week's time when we go racing live from Rockingham Speedway with the HTL Cup crew. Good night, everybody.